everyone, and welcome to PlanetSide 2 Friday Night Apps. I am your host for the evening, Margaret Luperza Crone, and with me,
I'm Tony RadarX Jones, your community manager.
he almost forgot his last
I
name.
almost forgot my last name.
It's Friday. It's been a really long week for us.
It has been a long week.
Extremely long. Anyways, we are on episode 67. I can't believe we've made it this far. They still let me do this show. I've had a plethora of co-hosts, and they just keep leaving me. I don't know what that means, but
I gotta go. Oh.
Unfortunately, Tony's stuck with me for a while. So first of all, I want to kind of go over what we're going to be doing today on this wonderful show. We're going to be doing the news and announcements with your lovely community manager, and then we're going to be doing, and within that, we're also going to do some more PS2 Olympics, and we had a request this time, so we're going to be showcasing that request. And then we're also going to be doing a player discussion panel, and this is going to be primarily around PlanetSide 2 and competitive gameplay, and what that means for players, as well as, I will try to give the development side of that. And we're going to be having Klyka, Vengeance D, KidRiot, and Ender on for that. And I know originally we're going to have Shock FC. He had some family stuff. So give him lots of hearts. Send him hearts on Twitter, just lots of hearts. Don't even give explanations, just hearts. And so we got a replacement for him, which is Klyka, and Klyka's a pretty cool dude. You guys are going to meet him. He's fun. You guys will like him. And then we're going to be playing a bunch of different videos from all of you guys. So whether it's an outfit recruitment video or player direct. And hopefully you guys keep submitting those to us so that we can continue to showcase them. And why don't we get the show started? News and announcements. So what has been going on with PlanetSide 2, Tony?
So we had a little bit of downtime on Tuesday.
Just a smidge.
No, it was a couple.
Not-
it was a
not
couple
that-
of minutes.
Couple of minutes, no time.
I doubt anyone actually noticed, but we did roll out all access, which means if you are a member, you now have access to most of our games.
Yes.
EverQuest 2, DCUO. I mean, that's a lot of content.
Yeah.
So.
Tons of content, all the games. And, if you're not interested in playing any of those games, you still get to play your game. Your membership doesn't change it, really. We're not charging you extra. Just more. And we're also adding more benefits for each of the games
We are adding more benefits to each of the games. So, yeah, you guys also get a 10% discount.
Yeah, so is that the only thing that was added for PlanetSide 2 in particular, or did you guys get some more additions?
I believe that was it.
And then you guys also have member-only
we do have
double
member-only
XP
double
weekends.
XP, so for you members, you will have yours over Memorial Day weekend at the end of the month.
Ooh, he just gave it away, so.
It's actually on the loading screens.
Oh, dang.
So they've kind of known about it.
Cool. All right. So that's good. You guys can kind of schedule around your days just so that you can make it for double XP, right? Make it alt.
Speaking of double XP.
Speaking of which, there is some double XP going on right meow.
Yes, if you guys, when you guys are done with FNO, you should hop in game and.
Hey, you can do it right now. You can be playing while you're watching the show.
Sure,
yeah.
you can do both.
It's like just listen to us on the side. Hopefully, you all have 2 monitors. If you don't, now's the time to buy.
Yep.
There's some wonderful monitors out there.
But that was our thank you for your patience during our 5 minutes of downtime we had.
Just 5.
And we hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, and so what else do we have on our list of things to talk about? The one and the only. Last week I got spammed about this, so thank goodness there's more information.
There was a problem with Briggs?
Oh, man, Tony.
No? Oh, yes. Oh, so...
They were rioting. There were like 2,000 of you. No, not 2,000. More like 200 of you in a TeamSpeak ready to bombard my show.
For you Briggs players, we believe...
So for all of you.
Yes, for all of you who we haven't forgotten about. We believe we made some progress this week, which many of you have confirmed that we have improved logins significantly. If you are interested in the technicals, you are able to read Internet Black Magic. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me personally.
Oh yeah, I can put that up on the screen.
Oh yeah, you should.
Oh,
do that.
that's not what I wanted to showcase. What is this?
I don't know. What did you do?
What did I do? I don't know. It's okay. We'll do it. We'll do it live. Watch this. Bam.
Oh, look at that.
We'll just cover my face. No one wants to see me while you're talking. Go ahead.
So, yes, there are all the technicals about networks and tunnels and wizards and I don't know. But basically our chief technical officer stopped by and let you guys know exactly what happened and exactly why it took the time it did for us to resolve it. So we hope that's a little more beneficial to those of you who wanted more specifics. If not, if you were someone who played primarily on Briggs and you were one of our customers, we granted you 3 free months of all access. for sticking with us. And you hope you enjoy that. And make sure you play on bricks.
Dang, 3 full months.
3 months. That's quite
That's
a
pretty
bit. It's
nice.
quite a bit of value.
And just so you guys know, Tony has been reiterating this, and I told him just keep sending them a link to this. But if you guys want to be spotlighted on Friday Night Ops, and I got a ton of requests from Briggs players that were like, why don't you ever spotlight Briggs? And I have spotlighted Briggs. Briggs has been on here. We had some Australians with their sexy accents. They were here. Go check out the old episodes. But we're going to be doing that again. I just need more of you to apply. Actually, quite a few of you have applied now, so we're good. But prior to that, I was like, there actually aren't any in the queue for Briggs. So that was my problem, first of all. And so that, I just wanted to kind of reiterate that. But Tony has been linking that out to you guys. All of you guys are welcome to sign up. Any outfits from any servers. Just go to PlanetSide2.com and you'll see the What is this Friday Night Ops you speak of. All the submission forms are there for every section. So whether you want to be a player that wants to be spotlighted, you're an outfit, you have a video that you want to share with me, you have a photo, whatever. You just submit it there. There's a ton of different ways you can submit. And, yeah, it just helps me out.
Send you all the things.
Send me all the things.
Okay.
That way I don't have to ask you for all these informations and go back and forth. It's just bam, it's all there. And then I just contact you and I'm like, hey, here's your time, here's your date, get here. And then magic happens.
That sounds super easy.
It is. It's way easy. I've been doing this for how many years now? So
man.
it just makes it.
You guys should send your stuff in. Sounds like it's almost no work at all.
Well, it is work.
Other than
it is
making
work.
a video and showing up and being on. All right, maybe some work.
It's some work, but it does make things a little bit easier when I have all the information. Beyond that, yeah, more Briggs stuff.
Yeah.
So hopefully all of you are,
But we're not claiming total victory. I refuse to do that, at least for this weekend. If you do find issues with logins, please take it to the news and announcements forums and let me know. I'll be watching all weekend, completely diligently, and reporting.
He has no other job. We're just chaining him to the desk.
Yeah, I'm gonna sleep here. It's fine. It's good.
Oh my gosh, our community managers, all of us, I want to give all of them a good giant internet hug because it's been a long week for us. I think Brass, if you guys know her, she's our director. She was like, man, even Meps was freaking out, and Meps is usually pretty chill. And he's our DCUO community manager, and he just recently got a senior position, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah, he did get promoted.
And also, I got a new upgrade too. I got an upgrade. I'm a community manager.
You got upgraded
I upgraded now,
Yes.
so I'm no longer just a community relations rep. I'm a community manager, so that's pretty cool. Yay! Surprises all around. And we kind of already talked about this a little bit, the double XP weekend.
Yep.
So I don't know what more we need to add to that other than
You
play,
should be playing, yes.
have fun.
Yeah.
Do you have any other updates for us on implants or new things that you can sneak peek us?
Implants are still on the calendar for this month, tentatively. So we're hoping to have those out in your hands very soon. We appreciate all the feedback you guys have been giving us.
Of feedback.
We have got a metric crap ton of feedback, and the team really appreciates it. We have been reading it. We definitely want to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, and we had a 192 versus 192 server versus server smash.
Yeah, how'd that go?
And it was really, really awesome this weekend. I got to cast and with Farah and a couple other people that we had kind of being our little war correspondents, and it was crazy. There's just so much going on in a 192 versus 192, and all over the map there's massive fights and little mini skirmishes that are going on, and it's really cool to be able to see that, and I guess people have to take ownership of things in that case, whereas on the live servers there's kind of outfits and random people, and you can't really say, oh, we just messed up, or oh, we sent these guys to the wrong place, or oh, we divided up our guys into the wrong locations and things like that. So it was really cool watching that. And a lot of them said afterwards when we did the interview about implants, they were like, we didn't really notice the implants too much.
Right.
Other than obviously at that time, it was kind of spamming you a lot, whatever.
Well, yeah, it was.
So we noticed that, but a lot of the people said that it didn't really affect them too much in competitive play. So hopefully, and do note that at that time, not all of the implants were out. So some of the implants that are going to...
The battery charger at the time was not dropping, so I believe that is currently on test now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so there's still a bunch of them that they weren't able to test out, and I think some of them are going to be a little bit more powerful than others, and that's a balance thing that the developers are constantly working on and that they will be looking into as they move forward with things. But yeah, you guys got to keep giving us feedback.
Please.
And I guess we'll move on to our discussion panel. So I'm going to play a video while Tony just runs away forever.
I'm gonna go watch Briggs.
Until you're gonna go watch Briggs.
I'm gonna go watch Briggs numbers.
Okay. Well, where can people find you at, and where can people send you feedback?
They can send it. They can obviously go to the forums, but you can also tweet me at RadarX, and yeah.
All right. Thank you again.
Yeah.
And we are gonna play a video really quickly here. I'm just gonna get in your way for a moment, and thank you guys for watching. We'll be right back. My microphone is on, correct? Yes, maybe? No? Magics! I don't even know which headset I have right now. Whichever one. I have one of them. Alright, so I'm going to be calling up these guys in a second here, but I did want to run you all through some stats that we pulled. So we had a player ask us, and if you guys don't know, we've been doing PS2 Olympics kind of every week of Friday Night Ops for the past 3 or 4 weeks, and we've just been pulling some kind of silly stats or whatever kind of stats that we can think of. Some of them are cool, some of them are silly. We're trying to keep them just kind of, just random. So someone asked on Twitter if we could show the top repairs. So who is the best engineer of them all? And we didn't want to go like all the way back to the beginning because that's not relevant to today, right? So we did 3 months and then we did a week. So for the 3 months, we have the top NC player. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Yeah, okay. I'm seeing the mic going up. All right, so for the top NC player, it is on Cobalt, AT Shun Cobb NC. So that is with 185,620 events, and the unique repaired is 3,469. So they've been repairing lots of different people. And this guy is a VS homie on Connery, and they've actually from January 1st and the past week been the top VS rep. And this is Wahahahahahahahahahaha. That's their name. I don't even know how many ha-ha-has that is. Let's see. Ha 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 ha. That's how many ha-has there were. So there you go. And that is with 158,441 repair events, and that's 7,086 uniques. And their past week, since they're the top for that too, I'm just going to go ahead and read that off, was 16,487 with 608 uniques. So GG, man, you were the top VS all time. Then we have Vivian from TR Briggs. Briggs representing what? With 151,716 and with 4,249 uniques for the 3 months. And the representative for TR and NC for the past weeks have been RDisDD, and that is on Miller from TR, which is 14,147 unique repairs, and repair events. Unique repairs was 411. And then from the NC, Connery Mizumoto 2 representing. And they are with 11,496 repairs and 467 unique repaired. So there you go. Top NGs all time. Go find them. Make them repair all your things because apparently they're good at it. So I'm going to give a call to our wonderful panelists for the evening, and I'm just going to name off who they are again. Klyka, Vengeance D, KidRiot, and Ender. So let me go ahead and toss these guys a phone call. Dude. And as soon as they are all answered, we'll start this show on the road. So we have 3 different topics that we're going to be discussing this evening, and I'll go over those between each of them. And I think everyone has answered. So I'm going to switch over here so you can see all their lovely faces. Some of them have cameras, some of them don't. They need to get with the times. You know, it's 2014. There's these things called video cameras. No, all right. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves for the evening. First of all, why don't we start with you, Kid? Who are you? What do you do in PlanetSide 2?
I'm KidRiot, and what I do in PlanetSide 2 is try and be as annoying as possible. And everything I say is competitive. So when I talk competitive, it's really important that we talk about competitive stuff. So that's my deal.
So our new drinking game. You can drink water, guys. It's all competitive. Anytime someone says competitive, you need to drink.
I've been around for a while. I played PlanetSide 1 for a year, and then I actually moved to Argentina, so that's why I stopped playing. And but
you're not in Argentina now.
No, but I'm wearing the jersey.
Nice,
World Cup's coming soon.
I'm gonna get in trouble for you wearing logos on your shirt.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I probably can't. I probably won't be able to play the video on YouTube. It's okay though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, GG, man. Way to ruin it. We'll see. We'll try to get it past legal. We'll see what they say.
And then,
go ahead.
So that's pretty much it. PlanetSide 2. I was in charge of 2 outfits, and then I actually eventually transferred to Nuck, and then I fell apart. So I've been just doing community stuff since then.
Aw, man. Nuck was crazy. They had some really, really good peeps on there. I actually saw Zoid at the last event that I was at. Said hi to him, give him a hug.
Yeah, he's a good guy. It was a good outfit, but I'm actually glad it kind of, because it takes a lot of time to be in an outfit like that. When we were practicing almost 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, it takes a lot of time. So
for sure, it is a lot of dedication. Rory, why don't you go ahead?
Hey, this is Rory, or rather Ender. I'm the outfit leader of DA from the VS Matherson. I'm sure some of you have probably seen my name in a couple different places.
Now you can see his face. Or this way I should go.
Yeah, I wish my video would have worked out. It didn't quite work out about 15 minutes before we started here, but...
He was trying. He was the straggler. We were trying to get his stuff together. We're like, come on, man. What's with you? No, go ahead. And apparently... oh, never mind. Go ahead.
I think that was pretty much it.
Okay. All right. Moving onward. Vengeance. Is it Vengeance or Vengeance D? Because I've been calling you Vengeance D. You have no mic, man.
Oh shoot.
He's got himself muted. Maybe.
His mic was working earlier.
Oh. We did a sound check, by the way, and everything was good. See, this is what happens. I do sound checks. I make sure everything's wonderful, and then we go live, and magical things happen. Well, we'll go with Klyka until until Vengeance gets his stuff fixed. Klyka, go ahead. Introduce who you are. We finally get to see a mugshot of him, of this fool. We hear his voice
you actually get to see a you get to see a mugshot, but it was a bit on short notice, so I couldn't get the webcam and I couldn't shave and I couldn't put on pants. So
you know what?
took a look.
Pants are overrated. So.
You know what? Pants. You know, I know.
No one ever sees your pants anyway. Like I could not be wearing pants.
It's because I never wear any. What can I say? It's just
There's a reason.
You know,
Alright.
you just kind of put yourself out there. No, my name is Klyka. I've been playing the game since it first released and a little bit before that in the beta. I have characters on the Woodman server, which is a bit of the European stepchild that no one ever talks about. And I played for about 1 year in an outfit called Iron Pulse on that server. Then we kind of agreed to separate, and ever since then I've been kind of jumping around. I started out as Vanu, and now I'm playing NC.
What is this
freedom.
traitory?
Yes, I'm so sorry. It's like I was all like, yay, Queen Vanu, and then I was like, no, now I want the freedoms.
It's because I made NC videos, isn't it? You saw me using some NC weaponry, and you were like, man.
I was like, if Maggie uses the big guns, I want to have one of those too. But yeah, so right now I actually got on board with the Community Clash crew, who were very, very nice in letting me try and cast some games. And I've been casting Season 1 of the European side so far, and it's been amazing fun.
Hello?
We hear
And
you,
that's pretty much
Vengeance. Yeah, and Klyka, you've been doing a fantastic job with it. The crowd loves you, and I'm excited to cast the World Finals with you.
I am very excited for that too, and I have to give those compliments back to you. You're doing a great job on the US side.
I don't know. I'm getting better. It's a lot easier for you to say, oh yeah, I could do that. When you actually get to do it, it's a lot
For me,
harder.
the thing is, if I want to watch the US stream, I have to stay up like pretty late,
yeah,
and
for
I stayed up quite a few times, and you know, like I wouldn't stay up if your casting was bad.
Sweet.
There you go.
Vengeance, I think we hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
It helps when you put your headset on, I think, maybe?
No,
just
it's
kidding.
just like I gotta push the talk on Skype just so, you know.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm gonna keep it short. I'm the leader of SVO, Subversive Oppression, from Matherson TR. And I'm in charge of Paul, making sure that everything runs smooth.
Sweet. That was short. All right, well, let's get started with our first portion of this. And I'm going to kind of read off what we have here. The first section is going to be all about translating competitive play to live servers. And this is things like PAL or Community Clash. And, you know, I think Server Smash and PS2 pickups are kind of in that category as well. We're all kind of moving towards that direction. People are trying to make these events that are revolving around competitive play. And so the first topic that we have here is marking the difference between PlanetSide 2 competitive and other esports. Outfits competing in events make up a small percentage of live server players. But when those competitive outfits play on live servers, they're playing on the same field as everyone else. So they're not really, you know, practicing necessarily for these little events that they're doing. So hence, how can a competitive outfit experience improve the level of live server play experienced by these outfits and other players that are playing alongside them? So I kind of want to give each of you guys a moment to answer that question, and you know, we'll kind of figure out what topics we talk about within that. And why don't you start us off, Kid, since this is your baby. By the way, he's the one who put this panel together. You guys can put your own panels together as well. Just go to What Is This Friday Night Apps You Speak Of thread, plug in the submission forum, and just put in all the information there, and we'll try to do our best to get you guys a panel together. But go ahead, start it off, Kid.
Okay, it's one of those things that was really even apparent in PlanetSide 1, and that had no competition, and that's kind of like rivalries, right? So you say, well, here's Future Crew in the tower, and I want to use Future Crew as an example because I've been playing against them since PlanetSide 1, and even when I was on Connery, they were my favorite outfit to fight because, you know, they're so good. And it's one of those things where they're in this competitive match, and everybody says, okay, Future Crew's this, and then you have DA, you have Indy, you have MCY, but when you actually see those outfits in the game, for me, as you know, as a competitor, and I don't necessarily mean like in an official match, but somebody who likes to get better at things, I see that as a challenge. And so when I see these guys and I want to fight them, I don't avoid them, I want to fight them.
Yeah.
Whether I come out, you know, like 1 in 10 or 5, it doesn't matter. It's one of those things where I always try and be better. And I think those outfits to compete, all the outfits that have competed in Community Clash or even PAL, bring something of that back to the live servers. So maybe when they see each other, like their scrim partners and things like that, it creates these rivalries. And that's one of those like community things that I think maybe PlanetSide 2 has been kind of lacking for a while, is those rivalries. And you know, it's all fun and games. You know, we're all adults. We just play to have fun. But those rivalries kind of want you to play better. have fun and basically squeeze all the juice out of the game that you can. And that's how I see it anyway.
Yeah, I can see that. Building the stories behind each of these players and these
Right.
outfits and these commanders and even some of the casters and things like that. That's what builds a community, right?
Right.
Vengeance, what about you? What is your opinion on this topic?
Well, I think that playing on the live server, it can definitely be fun. It's a good practice for your team. But the truth is that when you play on the test server and when you arrange this in-house scrims with your own outfit or with other outfits, you get that challenge that you don't get on the live servers.
Well,
Since,
everyone's
most of the
accountable,
people-
right? Everyone's
Yeah.
accountable for what their actions are. If one person goes to the wrong place, you're one less guy in this other place, right? And so
Exactly.
that makes a big difference on the field. Whereas, like when you're playing on a live server, you don't have
Yeah,
that feel.
a
all
lot of
time.
the people on the live server are just on to pass the time, and that's completely okay because it's a video game, right?
It's supposed to
And
be fun.
they're just it's supposed to be fun. They get on, they get off, and they play for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, and they get off. But you got all these the other side of the community that have spent 8 hours on the game, or and they grow old of this kind of gameplay. So they look forward to doing in-house scrims, and when you come to see, most of their times are dedicated to doing scrims or dedicated to practicing to get better as an outfit.
All right. Ender, what about you? How do you feel about all of this?
The thing Vengeance said was kind of interesting because DA has gone through a couple times where we've been playing the game for so long that, people you need to take a break after a while or you're going to burn out. And the competitive side of PS2 has really added an extra factor. It's so much different from live play that I've got a lot of players that maybe don't even log in a whole lot on live anymore, but they'll come to, our PTS stuff, the stuff on the private Jaeger server. And that kind of translates back to live server too, because we'll start playing more on live as well. Yeah, I don't know, it's a completely different aspect.
I think that the challenge that Ender is talking about, it's completely different when you play on the live server, since there's people that don't have as much experience. There's people that just started playing the other day, and you don't get better playing against these type of people. I mean, it's okay to play against them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not hating on them or anything. It's completely okay. It's just that when you arrange scrims against people that are better, then you get better.
Yeah, actually, bring it back to you, Ender. Just give him a little round of applause really quick here. Ender's outfit, Das Anfall, is moving on to World Finals against Mercenaries, and I think that that's a big, huge thing for you guys. So you have experienced the difference. You've been playing through all of these different brackets to make it to World Finals for Community Clash Season 1, and you can definitely tell the difference, right? Compared to playing here.
Absolutely.
And then what kind of practice you guys have to do in order to make it to that tier on live servers versus like not, right?
It's really kind of funny because the competitive stuff has made live server almost more fun, because the competitive stuff, for like if you've got your outfit and it's like your first scrim or match or whatever, you realize just how much teamwork you may actually be lacking and how much you have to actually improve. And when you take that back to live, like you can actually just see people respond quicker, just do stuff more instinctively, and it makes it all the more fun on live too, I think. But competitive is definitely a different experience that if you're kind of getting bored of PS2, maybe see if you can't find some team out there that is looking to build something for Community Clash 2 or PAL, and get on those and see what it's like.
But how do you think that your outfit per se can help other players on the live server?
It's actually kind of funny too,
Because I mean, that was the topic. The topic is, well, I'll just read the question again. How can
I
a
got it up in front
competitive
of me.
outfits experience? Well, for the viewers, how can a competitive outfits experience improve the level of live server play experienced by these outfits and others that play alongside them?
So this last week, I've actually been running some public platoons. So I've got DA as the SLs for most of the squads, and we've just opened it up. And I think 2 nights ago, we hit 48 players in like 10 minutes. And we did that for about 4 hours. And towards the end of it, there was an Esmir bio alert. And I actually told them, I was like, all right, we're going to switch to Esmir. We're going to go dunk this alert, get all 3 biolabs. I'm going to get you guys some certs. And you could see all the BR1s, the BR10s, the new players to the game. They'd ask questions every once in a while.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
think they really appreciated, being in a platoon where somebody was constantly telling them, okay, everybody's going here. You have 30 seconds to get here. We're leaving at this time.
Oh, that's a good example.
Give them enough heads up to get there, and then they get to experience something like that. And we actually ended up winning the alert. We did have overpop, so it was kind of whatever. But all the new players don't see stuff like that. I mean, they're not far enough into the game.
And I think the outfits that are doing these things, like bringing in all these new players and being like, hey, join us, we'll teach you the ways. And when they play that and they experience what it's like when you're... Because PlanetSide 2 is one of those games where you're playing by yourself. Sure, you can have fun. And if you're a good FPS player, you're going to have fun because it's like a really easy to run and gun and kind of kill people. And there's lots of people to kill. But the difference of playing with an organized squad or even an outfit is
That's
insane.
massive.
It's just insane the things that you can pull off. And I want to give Klyka a chance to answer because he hasn't yet. Before we delve even further into things. But Klyka, go ahead. What is your opinion on this topic?
Yeah, I actually agree with pretty much everything that has been said, which I think is quite interesting because all 3 of them brought up different points. I would say that, for example, having competitive outfits that like really compete and they train together and everything, and they do like scrims on what have you, but whether it be Jaeger or the test server, it doesn't really matter. Going back into life, it definitely translates into what Ender said, where you have these people who, just by default, because they're being competitive, I mean, they've probably put a lot of time into the game. They know what they're doing, and they also want to pretty much use almost every chance to, get better at what they're doing. So, like, those people, I mean, we all know how important leadership is in PlanetSide 2. So you have those people, like Ender said, running public platoons, running public squads, and so on. And in my opinion, that really helps sells what a lot of people are being sold on when they hear about PlanetSide 2 for the first time. Because let's say you hear from a friend and he's like, oh my God, and then, we had like 40 people and we all flanked them and we pulled like 20 tanks and so on and so on and so on. And that kind of stuff only happens when you're being led by someone who knows what's going on. So the competitive outfits definitely provide those people and bring them on the live server. Now, on the other hand, I also have to agree with KidRiot in that I think that if you have people who, they haven't just started out, they've been playing the game for a little bit, they kind of know their way around, maybe they watched a stream or two, and suddenly they come face to face with, let's stay with the example with Das Anfall, and they're like, wow, holy shit, like I've seen those guys I've seen them on the stream and they're really, really good, and oh my God, look at them run around and, take half the base.
Look at them run around.
Yeah,
but
but
I don't know, that
that's like what
description
you
was
think,
funny.
though. But that's what you think, because when you look at live server scenes, I mean, I've been flying around live servers with the observer cam quite a bit, just like doing camera angles and so on, and there is a big difference, like a huge immediate difference between how a random people move in a squad and how, for example, people from DA move in a squad.
And even not within just random, but when you watch outfit versus outfits, I watch how like one outfit that's super organized goes around and they attack a base, and they're just like, you just see this insane massive group working together, and then you have some where it's just like, okay, they're all together, they're an outfit, they're working together, but like they're just everywhere. Chaos is ensuing, and you're like, what's going on in their head? Maybe they're having like a demoralization issue at this moment. And you're watching all these different outfits, and even some of the top ones, when they start getting to the point where they're really behind on points, like for instance in Community Clash, you just see that just the way that they started off with being really organized, they just start disintegrating in that sense. And you just, and watching that is insane. It's really cool.
It is a really big difference whether you see a group of people who all have the same outfit tag, stick together in a group, or just having them be in a general area. So, like, because the first thing you go, like, wow, those guys are awesome. And the second, you just go, man, these guys, like, pop up everywhere. And what I think really helps the competitive outfits to show this kind of presence on the live servers, instead of, like, just going into their little competitive corner on PTS or whatever, it really helps that you have a presence and you're bringing these new people towards your outfit, because again, like, no matter how competitive you are, you will have people that either can't go on anymore, that are going to burn out, or that just plain have things happen that bring them out of your roster.
Ooh,
So you
that's
need
a
the
good
new
point.
blood.
You might
Yeah,
see you might find someone who's a really amazing player who
yeah,
maybe not necessarily doesn't have an outfit or isn't really they just don't know like what it's like to
yeah,
be. And then you see them and you're like, "Wow, that guy's really good. Maybe we should pick him
yeah.
up." Or
I mean,
even
I'm pretty sure.
I think we're going to
That,
see a lot in the future, especially if competitive play starts picking up and things like community clash start picking up, is that you'll see people pulling top other top players in other outfits, which we've already kind of seen,
mm,
and pulling them into theirs. And you're going to see roster changes based on that. And I
yep.
think if Season 2 Community Clash is trying to maybe possibly go towards that roster-esque type thing, so it's less of outfits and more of like, these are my players and they're awesome, you know?
Yep. It,
Yeah.
it, it, it is though that I'm not just talking about like high level players going because they're seeing like, oh wow, that outfit fits me better or whatever, but I'm just saying that bringing a certain amount of like competitive play and of high skill to the live servers kind of reaches out to a really, really large crowd, and it shows these newer players or like the medium time players that there is a higher level and there is
Mm.
a really good looking PlanetSide 2 kind of style in this game.
Ooh,
And I think
I like that.
it just increases everything. It just increases the environment of the server.
No, I like that. That topic that you just brought up there, which is um, showing that there are different levels of gameplay. And I think you see that in like games like I'm just going to use StarCraft 2 as an example. You see like what it's like to be just a normal player playing and then the skill gaps between higher tier players. And it gives you that moment of, especially if you're a competitive player or a new player, you're like, "Oh, there's something for me to attain."
Yeah.
You know?
Like if you see if let simple example, ESF pilots, you jump in your first ESF, you're like, oh man, I love flying. You jump in there and suddenly you have like some guy in his whatever, like in his reaver next to you. You don't know that outfit tag, you don't know his name or whatever, and the guy just flies around reverse maneuvering and he takes out like four mossies while you're watching, and you're just like, you look at his outfit tag and that name and you're just like, wow, I want to be that guy. And then maybe, maybe you just from there it goes and you talk to him and you hear about this outfit, and we've got a new guy who wants to, become an ace pilot. Same with infantry, same with vehicles.
Yeah, and
Just if that pilot just stayed on the test server, like playing against 4 or 5 other dudes, that wouldn't happen, and we would have one less guy who is inspired to become that man.
yeah. I want to move on to the next question within this topic. And for those of you who are just tuning in, some of you are like, what's going on here? Is this an interview? Are we just talking about Community Clash? We're not talking about Community Clash. We're talking about competitive gameplay in PlanetSide 2 and what that means to the players that are either engaging in this kind of play or to the players who aren't, right? So we're kind of just talking about that. If you guys have questions while we're going through this, please feel free to go ahead and toss questions in there. I think our delay is like 30 seconds or something. So if you talk about something that we're talking about, I can kind of interject that, and you guys can give your opinions on things. I'm going to move into the next question here, which is, how can outfits who don't view themselves as strictly competitive benefit from participating in Community Clash and PAL? Outfits who are on the fence about things like regarding community events and whatnot. So I'm gonna let's just start with you, Kid, since we're gonna start back over at the beginning and
Okay.
kind of make sure everyone gets to voice their opinions here.
I think a lot of it has to do with and I read a lot of Reddit. I'm sure we all do. And I listen to like how people talk about their outfits, and it's really interesting because obviously you only have so much play time, and you typically play with the people you know, and that's kind of what we do, you know.
Yeah.
But I've read a lot of how people present their outfits, and it's really interesting. Like it almost blows my mind sometimes how these people go about doing things, and sometimes I'll join like outfits recruiting platoons, and yes, it's a public platoon, but you get a feel for how that outfit runs. And we were talking about there's always a higher level of play, and like we've talked about, even in competition, you see a good outfit and a great outfit, and so there's even speed involved. Like how fast do they respond? How well do they keep it together? And a lot of that has to do where on live server, a lot of people are really really slow, and they'll get tanks and they'll run tanks together, and it's also like I don't know. It's like yes, it's fun, but is it effective? It's not too effective. So in a sense, these outfits that are kind of on the fence that are looking to compete, yeah, you might get blown away, but there's a lot you could take from these events. There's a lot of things that you can learn. There's new ways to attack things. You don't always have to like put all your eggs in one basket. Take air with those tanks, take galaxies. Mix it up, combined arms. And I think really PlanetSide 2, if anything, is about combined arms. And we've seen it even in Community Clash, not so much in PAL because PAL's infantry only, but in Community Clash you see where if one outfit's doing all tanks, air shreds them. If one outfit's doing all air, they leave room for the infantry. So you really have to have that combined arms aspect, and a lot of these outfits on live servers I think can really benefit from that, not just in actually doing it, but how fast they do it. Like they're able to get to the points, bang, 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 keep moving. And a lot of the better outfits when you run with them, like I play with Recursion now and then, they have that speed, but most outfits don't. And I think that's where they can improve if they take it, if they compete. And yes, however you do in competition, take those lessons back home with you on your server and have a good time. I mean, like we've been talking about, when you compete, it gets the adrenaline flowing. Sometimes your brain melts, you can't make decisions, but you learn from it. You know what I mean? You grow. So and especially when you go to live server, I mean, maybe you can't take 2-to-1 odds, but before you know it, you'll be taking 2-to-1 odds like every day. Like I'm sure Ender knows. I'm sure they could take 2-to-1 odds at any base, any tower in the game. And so it's just one of those things that comes to practice.
Yeah, and people in chat are like, "This is a combined arms game." Yeah, I would think it is. So I want to ask this one question that Justin Grimm asked in chat. Well, they kind of did. So they said, "Where can I experience that?" And what he means by that is competitive play. He says, "Because I am new, and all I see are people lone wolfing it, and the open platoons don't really talk that much. So I just experience solo play." And he's wondering where can he find competitive play, and I think that it's kind of a neat thing just to kind of interject in here really quickly. If you guys want to, whoever wants to answer that can go ahead and do that.
I would say you probably need to find some sort of outfit. Once you're kind of on an outfit level, you'll probably start recognizing other outfits, and eventually, you're going to, if you ask enough, you're going to find an outfit that wants to do that kind of stuff. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if there's. You could
Yeah.
go to the.
I would say go to the PS2 Conclash website, and that lists all the teams that are involved in the ladder and their servers. So if like say let's take TRG for example, a TR outfit from Connery. Say, hey, so TRG is competitive. Let's play with TRG. Let's see what they're about. So you get to learn about these outfits, and a lot of these outfits know each other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because the competitive community is so small. Pretty much everybody knows about everybody. And so it's pretty interesting in that sense that, I mean, if you just talk to one person, they could lead you to somebody else or somebody else. Twitter is a good way too, because a lot of these people know each other on Twitter. Like I said, the PS2 Conclash website,
Yeah,
and it's hard to,
tossed the PS2 Comclash thing in chat,
yeah,
but if you're watching this as a recap, it's ps2comclash.com.
yeah. I think that's probably one of the better ways, because a lot of these public platoons are basically like the antithesis of competition. Sometimes it's a mess, but if you really want to get more to the competitive side, I would just look towards those outfits on the website that are listed.
Yeah, so hopefully that answered your question. And if you guys have more throughout the episode, please continue to ask them. I'm going to let some other people answer the initial question, which was, how can outfits who don't view themselves as strictly competitive benefit from participating in community events like Community Clash and PAL? And go ahead, Ender, why don't you
Sure.
give your
It kind of
perspective?
goes back to what I was saying in the previous part of this question. Once you play, well, like once you have that little bit of experience in competitive, like the first time DA played Future Crew, we, I mean, we got hammered. Like we didn't bring near amount the air we needed, and we just got
Well,
blasted.
watching
But
the fight versus you and Future Crew was intense. Like, we
the
made it
the
to
last
sudden
time, yeah.
death. Yeah, we made it to sudden death, and then that's what won you. It was insane.
But the first time we played, it was pretty lopsided. But that was good because I could tell everybody, I was like, okay, now we know that, you have to have some type of air presence and you have to have some sort of game plan going into this kind of stuff, or you are not going to do very well. And once you do that, and once you start working with your team a little more for the competitive stuff, it easily translates, back to live for your outfit, because you're going to have more fun on live because more people are, in sync, clicking together and doing the same things. Really, like, I guess it improves squad play on live if you're advancing in competitive stuff, or at least scrimming and trying to get better.
All right. What about you, Vengeance?
Well, I think that it's like pretty much like already Ender and KidRiot covered. I think it's about trial and error. When you practice once and you fail, I think you should practice again and then keep practicing until you get comfortable in your own zone, in your own outfit. Obviously, if you don't have an outfit, then I think you should start by doing that, right? Like Ender said, find an outfit that it's interested in what your interests are. If you want to be competitive, then find a competitive outfit than find a competitive an outfit that won't be participating in that or doesn't have uh, you know, plans on competing on competitive events. I think you should find wherever you feel comfortable. Just yeah.
And what about you, Klyka?
I think that outfits who are not very like strictly competitive can actually gain a lot from just taking part in it. Because I mean, when we talk outfit, I mean most outfits have like a good amount of members usually. Like there are some very small ones, I guess, but like most of them have a proper pool. And I think that even if you don't really care about, being super competitive or starting to go down the competitive path, I think it can still be really fun to take part in a competitive match. Like even if it's
Yeah.
just the very first qualifying match and you get kicked out, just like the idea of using it as an event for your outfit, like you have a set date, you have a set time, and you go like, hey guys,
We're all gonna
we're
come
doing
together
this.
and we're gonna do this fun
Exactly.
thing, right?
And
Yeah.
then the coolest thing is like not just that, like you're not just, you have a set date where you're playing with all your guys, like maybe some guys who were taking a break or even coming back. But at the same time, suddenly you're like on a live stream and you're getting cast and suddenly, you have like the recording of this and you can rewatch it and you can go like, "Oh my God, this is the part where our two scythes crashed into each other." And just have a laugh about it. And it doesn't matter if you get kicked out in like the first round or if you make it all the way to the final. It's just, I mean, right now, it's everything about this, like the whole competitive scene is built like on the community and for the community. So I feel keeping your outfit entirely out of that when it's literally all for fun and like having a laugh is a really bad thing. And I feel that if your outfit has a decent size and members who want to do something together, trying competitive play is a really good thing.
And it doesn't even necessarily have to be competitive play. You can do other kinds of events.
Yeah, I
But
mean, competitive is
mhm.
always, like in quotes,
It's like a
because it's,
relative term to some
just, I
extent.
mean,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
throw it around. It sounds like, so hard-boiled and how highbrow and everything. But in the end, if you like find another team and you said like, hey, you want to have a match,
Yeah.
you're already being competitive. Welcome to the
Exactly.
club.
Yeah, and it doesn't
So,
have to be that high tier. Like, right? You see in lots of games where you have different levels and tiers, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go fight it the hardest and the guys who are winning all the things to have fun. You can have fun just playing against like another outfit or another even your own teams. I've seen people who will have an outfit versus outfit, like their own outfits. They'll
yeah.
switch up like different squads and they'll go at it,
Yeah, and
skirmish.
that's actually some of the best practice you could do too, because
Yeah.
then you get to know your own player's weaknesses and you could adjust for it
And
as
you
like a
can tell
platoon leader
them,
or something.
right? You
Yeah,
can
you
be
can
like,
tell them.
hey, X dude, you should maybe try not to run around the corner in that way, and maybe you
Yeah,
should
exactly.
utilize
Yep.
that weapon like this because it has a better range there, or whatever. I'm just spewing things out of my top of my head.
No,
But
no, but
yeah,
you're exactly right. I know in Nook, when we would do that towards the end, because it was hard to find scrimmage partners. Some of the best practices we had, and that most fun I had, was scrimming against ourselves.
yeah.
Doing 6-on-6 or 7-on-7, it's pretty intense.
It is very intense. And having less people is more intense. If you can find a place in the world where you can do those kind of skirmishes, because our bases are really huge, and
Yeah.
sometimes they don't accommodate for small teams for small teams. And Solaris TV said, talk about how competitive outfits push the whole community forward, how strats, tactics, skills, etc. move out into the game's general populace. And I thought that was a really good thing to kind of note here because that kind of does intertwine with the original question.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah.
wondering what you guys think about that and how you think competitive outfits can move the community forward with those things like strats and tactics and skills. And we've even seen some of our top, maybe not even top players, but players who make YouTube videos. They kind of provide people with some feedback on like tips and whatnot. I mean, Rel does a great job of those things. There's a lot of people in our community who do that. And I'll kind of let you guys, whoever wants to take that, go ahead and answer or interject wherever you want.
Like our last match against NNG, literally towards the end of the match, I was like, okay, we're going to do one of our live tech plant holds. And on the flip side, I've seen more and more people. I mean, the repair Sundays were always a big thing, I think, but I've seen more people try it lately. after that one match with Future Crew where the Sunday Bros came into play. Um, I think that's the kind of stuff that people will see and maybe start thinking more outside the
Yeah.
box on live. But I mean, you definitely see that stuff on live too. Um, but it is kind of interesting how all that stuff plays out, and I'm sure live will probably contribute to some of the competitive strats and vice versa as well.
And I've seen people use specific weapons because they're like, oh, this YouTuber, I love that weapon because he pwns with that. Or, oh, I saw this in Community Clash and now I want to utilize that loadout. And
Yeah.
I think those things are always, that's the kind of, those are the stories that we want to meld, and those are the ways that we do want to affect the community, I think. Anyone
Yeah,
else?
something.
Eh,
I think
I'll say
something
just
that's
if-
really
oh, go
cool.
ahead.
Oh, sorry, Kid, please go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Klyka,
Let's
you
do
can
this for
start,
another
and then
hour.
Kid, you can go off next.
All right, I'll say you go ahead. No, what I was thinking of is like
right.
as Luperza was talking, I was thinking about one of those things called a balcony drop, where you take a galaxy and there's different methods you could do it. Like I know the Enclave used to do it through the uprights in the middle of the tech plant. When I was in Recursion and Hostile Takeover, we used to do it through the back, on top of the tech plant where the air pad is. But it was one of those moves that allows you easy access to like a tech plant, and not a lot of people were doing that. But once you see that happen, even like say competition aside, you're on the live server, you see a galaxy coming up, and you see a bunch of dudes drop out. You're like, what are they doing? Why are they doing that? And then you go into the tech plant to try and resecure it, and you're getting nailed from all these guys in the balcony. You're like, holy crap, that really works.
And we've been
And so
seeing
then-
a lot of that play
Right.
recently.
Or even like what Ender was saying, like there's certain things even on Community Clash where like the smart outfits adjust on the fly and say, okay, they did this, it'll work. Now we're gonna do this, and you take that all back to the live server, and so you're presenting like a higher level of the game, and maybe people will get inspired to do that themselves. And you could just imagine maybe like a few months from now how tougher it is to actually take towers or take bases as more of the community actually soaks in these tactics and stuff. So it's pretty interesting.
And you get longer fights then, right? Because you
More
have
intense
a little,
fights?
Yeah, more intense fights, longer
Yeah.
fights. People are learning that you can't just keep going at bases like that head first. You need to
Right, basically
you need
just
to pull
throwing
back.
bodies,
Yeah,
yeah.
you need to pull back. You need to repair. You need to know where your medics are. You need to know where your engineers are, and kind of go back and get repairs, and then go back into the fight. Not that like for KDR ratio aspect of things, but so that you can sustain the fight.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyone else have anything else to add on that before we move on to our next thing?
I think one thing that's pretty cool is that I mean maybe a bit more in Community Clash and PAL is that even though you play with, for example, in Community Clash you have 24 versus 24, which is a good number of people, but the fights still tend to often be like a little smaller, like a group of 5 against another group of 5, fighting for a building or something like that. And you can often see some really like cool moves or tactics, or even the use of like special grenades or so on that
Oh,
like
yeah.
are not always used. I mean, like if you play in like an outfit that's like a bit more specialized or has more experience, I mean, using conch grenades or EMP grenades and stuff like that is kind of second nature.
Yeah.
But if you're like more of a general player, like maybe you'll go, this grenade doesn't kill people. I mean, why would I spend
Yeah.
certs on
Right.
that? It's like, but then you see it in Community Clash, and you see like like 5 heavies, for example, like setting up outside of 2 doors, throwing in their conch grenades, rushing in and killing like 5 or 6 other guys without even being shot once. You suddenly go, wow, like me and my friends can do that.
Yeah.
And from there, like I agree with Kit that a lot of like little things like touches or even big tactics or small tactics you can glean from the competitive play and then just go, we don't need that many people to pull that off. Like, let's try that.
And hopefully we see more of that. I think we have.
I hope so, yeah.
I think we have to some extent. We've seen outfits pulling off these different plays. We just need more outfits to be involved in these really cool events so we can build up their personas and their rapport within the community. Because, I mean, what are we without everyone else, right?
Exactly.
The
And there's
community is
still
about every person. That's every outfit,
Yeah.
every individual. It's not just about like, hey, these random people over here doing stuff.
And there's almost literally nothing to lose. I think Klyka was saying it. There's nothing to lose to actually put yourself out there and try this. Yes, your ego might get a little hurt, but I mean, come on, you learn from it and you get better. There's so much more to take away from this, no matter what the result is. That there's almost no point not to do it if you have the
Yep.
numbers. There's no reason not to do it.
Okay, so that leads in perfectly to our next question within this topic, and that is, what is the ideal interaction between the community whether that's live servers, forums, Reddits, etc., wherever we all are, right? And the competitive outfits. And that means, like, how do we increase awareness and appreciation for the hard work from volunteers and the enjoyment of the people that are watching these events? And that's a big thing to note, is the people who maybe are not participants. How do we make them feel like they're more involved and be like have more enjoyment out of watching these skirmishes? And why don't we start off with you, Vengeance? You haven't gotten to talk in a little while.
Uh, well, I think it's F&O panels are always great to let people know about events. People can catch up. There's a pretty large number of people that actually watch the stream, so that people that are interested in this kind of competitive events like Community Clash and Paul, they can if they don't know about them, they can actually. This is one good way to find out. Also, I think even though you have all this Twitter, you have Reddit, and you know the forums and all this, I don't think it's enough to uh, be too open about it. I think we need to be a little bit more open about the competitive. But I know right now the competitive scenes is really small right now, and SOE is making it happen, which is great. But I think that if outfits want to find out about these events, I think SOE needs to be a little more open about it. And I think they should make it more, even if it's community driven.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should make it more official. They make at
I
least
think
on
we were
their eyes.
starting, right? We started
Yeah,
doing that
exactly.
with Community Clash. That's our first event that we've done.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to go further into that. I mean, I've already talked with the PAL guys. Obviously, I want to help you guys be the next group, and then so on and so forth. I know the Server Smash guys are up next. So it's this. There's a lot of you who are starting things up, and I know Server Smash was like, we're gonna start our own thing. I'm like, great, do it, start it now, because then whenever I get to you and you're on our show, and it'll just be that much more polished.
Yeah, more polished.
Yeah, and so we're trying on our end. I mean, obviously, I'm doing a lot of this
Yeah, no,
stuff on my own
it's-
time, not with SOE, but I'm definitely trying to get SOE to be more knowledgeable about these things. It's just they don't have the resources necessarily to dedicate, right? So it's really, really helpful that we have such a very passionate community who wants to do this, and I will work with you guys. I'm just only one person, so I'm slowly getting there.
No,
But
no, I
go ahead.
understand. It wasn't any direct or anything message. It was just, I'm talking in general.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling that the viewers get when they watch these matches, because I've gotten from a couple people, it can sometimes feel like it's too community driven, and they, like I've been told before, like, oh, I wish this was more official.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, sometimes it even if it's SOE supporting them, sometimes they tell me, like, at least this is the feedback that I get from them. It's like, oh, I wish something a little, like, that extra step, that maybe let's say if someone wins a tournament, let's say Community Clash, we get to have like some kind of reward, some kind of like
And that is.
thing
In Community
inside.
Clash, you are getting a reward, actually.
Yeah.
You'll get an in-game decal that you can put on your
And
vehicle and
that's a
things.
huge
Yeah.
deal for a lot of people. When an outfit fights, sometimes they don't even care about a winning prize. Sometimes they all just care about just having their name out there.
Yeah.
And when SLE like puts them on blast on a spotlight, like, hey, I'm gonna log in today. Oh, what is this? Community Clash? Oh, what? DA won, for example.
Yeah.
It's wow. That's a huge deal.
And I
it
want
gets
you
a lot
guys to know that
involved.
that's something that we're moving towards is, the world final winner, you're going to see that their outfit with a screenshot of all of those guys, like right there on the loading screen, which is really
I
sick.
think
That'll be
And
really
that-
good.
Yeah, and that's the
there's
kind of
better
stuff
reward.
that we're trying to
There's-
build towards.
There's
But-
no better
yeah.
reward than getting that kind of kind of like getting your name out there like that. I think
Yeah.
that's the best reward any outfit can have.
And that's something that I truly am on board with you guys. And I know that it sometimes does feel like it's a little slow and pacing isn't going well. But that's why, like, we're starting with Community Clash, and then we'll move on to the next community event that we can take on, and we'll slowly do things with everybody as we can get there. Like I said, only one person, but yeah, great points, Vengeance, and all of those things, like, we're working towards, which I think that's the great part about it, is Vengeance naming all these things, and I'm like, we're doing all those things. So
I know.
that to me is really cool to be able to just be like, SOE is trying to do those things. It's just, it's a slower pace, right? Because we don't have as many resources. If I had like
Right.
20 people backing me up, oh man, it'd be done. Beyond that, does anyone else have something that they want to add on?
Well, I think the only thing I was gonna say is that people look at what's happening now, And there's basically no precedent for what's going on in PS2, right? I mean, like look at Call of Duty; they've had how many years to get it right?
Oh
Look at
yeah.
League of Legends. Look at how many resources they have. Look at even
That's
Dota
true.
2. Look at Counter Strike Go. All these are much more established, have much more resources, have more than just you working on it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you had one more person, I'm sure there's a lot more that like if they were just dedicated to this, how much more
Oh
can
yeah.
get
If
done?
we had
It'd
one
be
person that just worked on a community events and like
right,
works with
I
all of
think
you guys, it would help so much.
right.
I think we're
And
up
so
to a good start right now. I mean,
yeah,
for the resources that we have, we're doing great right now. Obviously, if we had a little more resources, I'm not talking resources about money. I'm talking like, people that are in it on it.
Hmm.
It would be, it will grow faster. But right now, I think it's a great pace right now. I think a little more time, I think it'll be great.
Yeah,
yeah.
whenever you say competitive PlanetSide 2, people kind of go, "Ha!"
Yeah, and they
And
walk
then,
away.
Yeah.
and then we start a community clash stream and we get 650 people watching. I just go,
Yeah.
Yeah,
People, there's
that's the kind of
obviously
attitude
there's.
that really
I'm
I
sorry. Go
don't
ahead,
understand
Ender.
that. I was just gonna say I don't understand that attitude. A lot of the people doing that don't like they haven't actually played in it. Like they have I don't know. I think you're right, Klyka. Just to go back at them is the perfect response.
Well,
"Yep,
the thing to me is that we've been doing these streams, and I mean, even Server Smash, I was watching, the viewership continually grows. Like watching all of these different things that all the community, these different bits of the community are creating, all the viewership is growing. It's not declining; it's growing. And so that to me is a sign of there are people who want to watch it. What can we do to make it more enjoyable for you guys? And I think that the right direction to go, especially with this question, is like, what are the ideal interactions between the community and competitive players and outfits? It's getting the awareness out there, being like, hey, did you know we're doing a live stream on this day? You guys should check us out. Like, just making people more aware of those things. I mean, you guys mentioned Reddit, Twitter, the forums, being more active about those kind of communications and talking a little bit more about those things. Like, maybe pulling out a section of a video from Community Clash and being like, watch what happens at X time to this time. Let's talk about this strategy and break it down. What are the ways to counter this? What are the ways that you see this working in different bases or in different situations within PlanetSide 2? Like delving deeper into those things and getting the community involved in those conversations. I think that is what's going to help us grow the competitive aspect of things and kind of get people's minds kind of churning and going, oh man, this is really cool, right? And having those visual assets with all these different videos that everyone's creating is only going to benefit us further as we move forward with it. But that's definitely the thing, is just getting more people aware of it. And when we do get 650 viewers and the viewers continually grow, that's great, right? So
Yeah,
there's people
that's like the
there.
best appreciation that you could
Yeah.
hope for from
yeah,
viewers.
It'll be interesting
yeah."
to see the match's viewership tomorrow, I think.
Oh yeah, for World Finals, it's gonna be insane. It's gonna be really early in the morning for me. I'm gonna need like 12 gallons of coffee.
Jeez.
I'll tell you
uh,
what, the Europeans are amazing. Like when the times I've casted with Klyka or even watched the European community clash, I didn't know much about the European community besides Indy and MCY, but they've actually been really, really outstanding. Like
mhm.
extra supportive, really into the games and matches, and that's really what I would hope from us in the U.S. But it's weird because you look at like other esports, and their communities don't argue whether there should be a competition or not. They argue about the drama between teams, all the other trades and stuff like that. But in PS2, unfortunately, you get a lot of people saying, well, "Why are we even having this?"
Yeah,
What's the
it's
Yeah.
so
point?
weird. It's so weird. Like you have
It's
people
really weird.
actually, you actually have people arguing against other people doing something with the game which they feel is not what the game is about, even though we're not taking anything away from them.
No, it's all
We're not
volunteer.
destroying anything. Like SOE is not going like, oh my God, we're gonna, remove every weapon except of one so those guys can have their competitive gaming or whatever. Like we're literally making our own little fun, and if you want to join us in it, you're welcome to it. And you still have these people who go, no, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
I want to
Yeah.
bring up
weird.
something that Super Mav
Stop it.
said in chat, and he said Luperza. He spelled my name wrong too. I think you need to tell players in game because I don't think a lot of people know about this, and that's a good point. Something that I could work on next season, especially with Community Clash, since we're already moving forward with that is maybe doing some messaging in game, seeing what the viewership's like with that, if it's worth it, and if the development team's okay with us doing that kind of stuff. We just have to be really careful about what we do, because once we start doing this with Community Clash, we have to do it with every other event that we start helping and
Well, I think the launcher is a huge thing. 'Cause I mean, that launcher, to be honest, is really outdated. Like I see you on there and Jimmy and all them. I was like, these pictures were like 3 years ago, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
Before the game even came out.
Well,
And
even
so
the
even
Friday
just
Night
something in
Ops
the
stuff
launcher.
is old, right? So.
Yeah, everything's really old.
Kid, you're gonna regret those words once you see my face on there.
Yeah, so those are things that we need to work on, right? And I think that those are great. That was a good suggestion, Super Mav. And yeah, so we just need to start moving forward with that and trying to test out new things. And if you guys have more suggestions like that, keep showing them to us and explaining that to us. And especially letting me know. You can PM me on the forums. I usually answer really quickly. I know RadarX is your community manager, so I a lot of times forward messages onto him because I don't really handle a lot of the day-to-day PlanetSide 2 stuff, but I do handle like competitive aspect of things for PlanetSide 2. So I want to, before we move on to our next segment, I'm going to play a video. So I'm going to ask these guys to kind of mute their microphones. I'm going to play a little video here, and we're going to move on to the next portion of this because we're running a little late, but it's okay. We have a lot of time to chat, and hopefully you guys are all enjoying this conversation. And as we move forward into it, you're going to just have even more fun. So let's go ahead and do that. So that was a Devil Dogs video. I believe we played a few of theirs. They're really great about continually submitting more. So if you guys have any videos of your own that you would like to submit, please do so. We need more of them. Yes, all of them. I'm going to give you guys a link in chat so all of you can give that a thumbs up and show them some love. First of all, I want to link this one, which was the Republican Guard. I don't believe I linked it earlier, so if you guys want to give them a thumbs up, that was a great video that we played earlier. And here's the next one by Devil Dogs. And if you're watching this as a recap, that was by Kripsky, so you can go to YouTube, check him out. And the video is called 666 Devil Dogs, The Battle. So we're going to be moving on to our next portion, which is competitive play and the events that are involved with them. And right now we're talking about Community Clash, PAL, and possibly future ones. So I'm going to switch over. I'm going to let everyone kind of go over all these different topics. So I guess we'll just start it off. We don't need to do introductions again. I was thinking that we would want to do introductions in between each one, but like, you guys, you can go further into the show and hear about them, or at the end we'll let each of them talk about who they are and where you guys can find them, and if they're running events of their own. So the events, that is what this segment is going to be talking all about. So if you guys are interested in them, please stay tuned. The first question here is, scenes tend to start slowly. Growth happens over time. What does the future of PlanetSide 2 competition look like? And I'm curious what each of you guys think about this and what you see as the future of PlanetSide 2 competitive gameplay and the events involved around them. Think about this especially because we are such an intense, large competition, right? People still haven't figured out, should we do 24v24? Should we do 48v48? Should it be 500 versus 500? What should competitive play be like for PlanetSide 2? And I don't think we've necessarily figured out what the magical number is or what the thing is. Like right now we tried outfits, right? And now we're going to possibly try things where you basically have your roster and that's your roster for that season. So keep all of that in mind while we're moving forward with this. KidRiot, why don't you start us off since this was your panel? I want you to kind of start us off with what you were thinking that we would talk about.
Okay, I think it was interesting because I know when it started, everybody thought it was going to be 48s, and it was now that I look at it, I mean, I was a huge proponent of 48s because to me that was like the ideal situation that you could show like the majesty and combined arms aspect of PlanetSide 2, and we had a lot of runs actually on the Nexus when it was working, and it seemed really fun. But actually, the more I've watched, Community Clash and even some PAL, I think the smaller numbers are better. I think 24s is maybe the sweet spot as far as rosters, teams, and outfits goes, because you could have 24 people and you can still get that combined arms aspect. And then if you want to push it further, like you want to talk about the future, like I know, PlanetSide 2 shows up at MLG events, and maybe maybe not have a staged event for PlanetSide 2, but maybe at the booths, like we did. What I think MLG Anaheim last year, where there was an event where you had an NC. You had VS, and then you had and then you had TR show up, right? So you had outfit leaders from each faction show up.
Yeah, I believe that was TIW, Nuck, and
Future
Crew.
With Twiff, yeah.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's not so much like hardcore competitive, but something fun that's competitive that maybe outfits can get involved in. Maybe you could involve like do it on Jaeger. Maybe you could even have like a kind of like a server smash thing on like Jaeger, or you could have all. I mean, there's so many options that you can do, but I just see like more activity and more things going on. And you know what I mean? I think we're at a really good spot where we're basically covering all the sizes of PlanetSide 2. You have PAL with 12s, Community Clash with 24s, and you have Server Smash, which is essentially Server Smash.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's a really good spot right now because basically you can wet your whistle with whatever you like. You know, I know some outfits like Server Smash over like 24s and 12s, some like 12s over that other stuff. And there's nothing to stop you even from competing in all of them. So I think we're at a good spot, but the future for me is more involvement, the community being much more, constructive and positive, and actually, talking about like certain, like I said, so what does it mean to be DA? What does it mean to be Future Crew? What does it mean to be TRG? And then even further, what does it mean to be those outfits in the sizes of all those things? You know what I mean?
And I think, Kid, you do some great stuff with your articles. If you guys haven't checked them out, I don't know, maybe you want to plug that. He writes a lot of articles about these things where he recaps events that have happened, or he even just talks about outfits in general. And I think that we need more of that. And I know there's a couple other guys who also write articles. I've been trying to follow.
Doing some for Server Smash.
Yeah. That was Lancer, right?
Yeah, Lancer.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you really quick because your dog is barking.
Yeah. Everybody just went into the pool, so hopefully there's not so much noise here.
Yeah, so there are a lot of people in our community who are trying to get more involved in those things, and keep doing that and keep letting me know about it because we're trying. But anyone else want to add on to that?
I think the biggest thing is just for like Kid had mentioned, the community staying positive about it. You know, there's a lot of people that I've seen kind of give crap to the Reachcast team, and it's completely unfounded because like they're not getting paid to do this. They're spending all these hours and offering us this opportunity that to grow the scene. You know, nobody else has done this. There is no precedent. Like things are going to happen that go wrong. You just got to stay positive through it. Just go through the growing pains, and as it goes forward, like for season 2, there's already a bunch of changes planned that I think will work out really well. And now that it's got more exposure, you know, more teams will be able to be like, hey, you know, that looks kind of fun. We should try to do that. And now it's as we go forward and learn things, it's just going to be easier for those outfits to keep doing that. So I think the scene will keep growing as long as people stay positive about it and just give it a shot.
So you see the future as in more players are more outfits are going to be able more players and outfits are going to be able to be involved in these kind of events.
Well, the one thing about 24s is 24 is right at that number where, you know, can you get 24? The first question for an outfit, you know, doing something like that is, can you get 24 people online at the same time for
Yeah.
this event? Um, and I think a lot of outfits, depending on what the setup is, it's easier with PAL because I mean, 12 people, you can bring your 12 best players. It's fairly, I mean, there's a lower barrier to entry, I guess you could say. And with the rosters coming up for season 2, that's going to allow outfits that are maybe smaller or
Conglomerate, right?
right, or maybe they're just air outfits only, like they don't really stand a chance in a combined like in total combined arms game. And now that it's rosters, you're going to allow them to team up with maybe some people that they know pretty well. They're going to be able to team up and, you know, start practicing and get ready to do something like that.
Yeah, and then you'll be able to see that combined arms effort. You know, you have a really good air outfit. These guys are really good on the ground. Why don't we just like work together and submit our roster?
Yeah, exactly.
To jump in on real quick, I think that if more people had the initiative to like the PS2 pickup guys, they're using the test server, which is great. And then they had this idea of doing PS2 pickups, which is pick different different members from different outfits and putting them in a group and then have them fight each other.
Yeah.
And then they did this idea of server smash, which is great. And I think that if there was more people with initiatives like this, we could have a tournament of pretty much about anything. If you think about it, it's about having fun. So if you enjoy, let's say, flying ESFs or something, right? I think that you should, make it. Why not try, to make a tournament on the private, I mean, on the test server, and make it about ESF only, or make it infiltrator only. It's what you enjoy, right? So I think if the demand is there and a lot of people look at it like, wow, look, there's an infiltrator only tournament. Let's go in there, or
Yeah.
like
And
it's
those are
whatever
great.
attracts the crowd.
I think those one-offs, like you're saying, whether they're just like infiltrator only, scythe or not scythe, ESF only fights and things like that, those are really easy for us to pull off as one-offs. It's the big tournaments like PAL, Server Smash, Community Clash. Those take a lot of involvement. They take a lot of people working together throughout like a few months worth of time. It's not just like, hey, one shot go. Whereas like if you want to run an ESF tournament, little mini one, like that's something you could kind of contact some of these people who are already running stuff and be like, hey, would you help me out? Do this one thing and we'll do it all on like a Saturday or something like that, and we can stream it and have fun, right? Those are kind of really cool one-offs that you can do, and you can just work together with people who are already kind of doing those things. But if you start it and you have the initiative and you want to work at making something bigger,
if they're interested, people are going to join. It's I think it's whatever attracts the crowd. If there's a lot of people that are in on it, it doesn't matter if it's oh, but that's stupid, removing everything else and just leaving aircraft. It's a stupid, like it doesn't matter if what people want to play. So it's free. You can, like, if you want to play in on it on that, it's okay. You can go ahead and do it. If you don't want to do it, then just be part of other tournaments like Community Clash. If you don't like Community Clash, do Paul. You don't like Paul, do Community Clash. Right now the options are limited. There's like PS2 pickup, Community Clash, and Paul. But I think that in the future there's going to be a lot more events. There are going to be a lot of tournaments that you're going to be able to join. There's going to be whatever people make up. If there's people in on it, they're going to want to participate.
yeah, I like the idea of the future is more events, but I also think that spreading yourself too thin can sometimes be a bad thing as well. And we already have a lot of people working on all these little other things that you may say that there's not a lot of options, but like I think I'm with Kid saying that there are a lot of options. You can do 12v12. You can do the 192 versus 192. You can do 400v 400v, and you could do 24v24 or so on and so forth. Already, those are already things that you're capable of doing. There, there's not a lot of stuff in between unless you guys want to make them. And I do agree that make whatever tournament you want. That I definitely see that as working for you for the competitive scene in the future. But yeah, it does take a lot of dedication and time.
You can see how, and you should know about this. You should see how neat peaky the people are. Oh, they're gonna do roster for Community Clash. Oh, you know, they start whining about it or whatever. It's like, you know, if you don't like it, just try to, you know, there's other ways around that you can go through it. You know, if you don't
like it, make your own. I think that's you show us how it's done, and we'll embrace it. I think
we'll support you.
Yeah, exactly. I think PAL, I think the Server Smash guys, I think the Community Clash, we're all there for you. Like, you start making and building your own thing. Like, you see these guys, they all had their own idea, right? And now they're all making their own thing, but they're all still supporting each other and seeing what each other's doing and talking with one another. And we've kind of built like this community of players who are running events. And I think that if you want tips, these guys are there for you. Ask them on Reddit, ask them on Twitter, ask them anywhere. Like, they are willing to help you guys out and give you some tips, and we'll watch. I think I definitely have been trying to watch as much as I can. Sometimes I have to watch the YouTube videos because I just don't have time.
Just in case, like, people don't know how Paul happened, is I literally, you know, I'll be honest, like, I wasn't too inclined with Community Clash, so I was like, you know, I wish this could happen. You know, I wonder how many people would go in on it if I actually say that, you know, I want to do like an infantry only event, and I actually did it on the forums. I posted on the forums, and like 5 posts later, Luperza answered like, "Hey, we can support this tournament." I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy!" Like, the post hasn't even been on for a day, and Luperza is already like want to support it. So I think there's a lot of that. If people want to come up with something, the options are there.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm obviously not your community manager anymore, so I'm not going to say that that's the kind of interaction you're going to get right now, but I was definitely looking out for events. I was like looking for all these cool things that the community is doing, because I think that's the stuff I want to see, and I want to see our community building towards. You know, I think a good point that kids like kind of expressed earlier was that when you watch the NA fights for Community Clash and you see the chat, like, they're very interactive. They're talking about the outfits. They're talking about the strategies that are happening. And then you watch the NA one. I mean, come on, guys, you agree. You're watching the NA one, and there's just like chaos ensuing in chat. No one's talking. Like, there's just trolling. There's people having drinking games. It's not, and I think that I go to myself, is that like, how can we kind of bring this community around and be like, we want to be more of a community where when people jump in the chat, they go, wow, this is a really productive conversation people are having. Wow, what's going on with this? What's going on this screen? Oh, they're kind of already talking about it. I'm hearing the story in chat with all these different people talking about outfits versus outfits or the strategies that are going on, and that goes to them. I want to be part of this community. I want to do that. And I think that you need to realize, you as an individual person in that chat stream, you are bringing in more players and more people who want to be involved when you are representing the community in a better light in that regard.
Yeah, but to be fair too, and I think it has to be said, a lot of it's the Twitch community itself. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched like major events. It's
just insane. Yeah.
It is insane.
H1Z1 chat. Perfect example. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to moderate this right now. There's like 20,000
a lot of it
people.
Is like the Twitch culture has, you know, like the kappas,
yeah,
all this stuff, you know, it's just part of it. So it's expected. And you want a little bit of that because, you know, people are into that for whatever reason, but you also want something else, you know what I mean? You want something more where, hey, you know, what's going on? What's going on with this? You know, you kind of want to develop a different community. Yeah. So it's a pretty interesting dynamic, you know what I mean? We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's just interesting for me to see that those two different things happening at once. I want to give Klyka and Ender a chance to talk because they haven't really. Ender, you want to start us off? What's your perspective on this? Where do you see the growth and happening in the future of PlanetSide 2 competitions?
Like I kind of said earlier, I think as long as the community supports it, you know, we can keep growing the current things that are already going on. Like you mentioned, you know, maybe there's an ESF tournament. There actually has been a couple ESF tournaments.
Yeah, I've seen some, and I've seen some really cool ESF events just in general.
Yeah, I think some of them get started on like pilotsguild.net or there's the Matherson kind of error grouping that
I have some
starts a lot of
footage.
those.
I'll play it while we're talking, but continue.
Sure. I think stuff like that is definitely, a benefit to the community at large because it offers so many different aspects of PS2. There's so many things you can do in PS2 that as we keep going forward with this stuff, it keeps people in the game. And as far as PS2 competitive going forward, as long as we keep staying positive about fun, I mean, we can keep doing it, see it improve, see more people participate, and get more people involved with all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll showcase some of this in the background here so you guys can see it ensue. There's going to be an air battle. Um, yeah, so I think, Klyka, do you have anything that you want to add to this conversation?
The interesting thing is actually that pretty much almost everything I wanted to add, a vengeance pretty much just took straight out of my brain and already brought it forth. Because I have to say, like, vengeance, I'm totally like on the same wavelength with you there, man.
Yeah.
First of all, I think that like the current competitive things that we have, I feel that they're gonna grow. I feel they're gonna get stronger. They're still in pretty much the place where the rule set is still evolving. Like with Community Clash, for example, the first season, has this rule set, but for like the second season, the rule set is already being changed because pretty much every season is so far like it's nothing is established. Every season, every tournament you make is pretty much just a test bed for the next one you're gonna make, and everything evolves and evolves, and you'll keep the rules that stick, and you throw out old ones and put in new ones. And I totally agree with you that one thing I want to see and that I think we're going to see is more people seeing that there is a community out there that wants to watch stuff. There is a community out there that wants to take part in things. And they're going to come up with their own ideas. And I think this own idea thing is fantastic for PlanetSide 2 because when you think about it, PlanetSide is such a huge game. It's more of a sandbox, really. I mean, when we log into the live server, like we kind of log in there and we have these very loose roles of, like taking enemy bases and shooting the other guy. But the game never really forces us to do this. Like if I wanted to sit in the warp gate and play hide and seek with some guy for 2 hours, like I could do that, like the game never goes like, no, you're not allowed to do that. And I think I actually just accidentally turned off my volume there. Here we go. And
We can
yeah,
still
because I
hear you.
couldn't. Yeah, I know. But still, and um, and I feel what that means is that because we have this huge toy box, and we have we have flight, we have vehicles, we have infantry play, we have all kinds of stuff. Uh, People are just like some guy who's never played this game before is gonna start it, try it out. He's gonna play for like a few hours, and suddenly he goes, "Wow, I have this idea."
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing is that with our community, like he could bring that idea forward in like whatever, like the forums or Reddit or so on. And as Vengeance said too, like he put his idea out there. And like, like 6 posts later or whatever, like Luperza descended from Vanu heaven and said like I bestow upon you my blessings. And the same thing the same thing
That
could happen
explanation.
with the next guy. Yeah, the same thing could happen with the next guy.
Yeah.
And like we could have everything that we can come up with. Like we could have, I don't know,
Yeah.
wacky flash races, and you can make a competition
Yeah.
out of it. Uh,
Totally.
yeah, and so pretty much I agree with everything that's been said, and I'm really looking forward to pretty much like the two pillars of the community for PlanetSide 2 right now, which I think are the already established working competitive things growing stronger and bigger, and people coming up with new ideas.
Yeah.
And I also think that one thing that's going to be really important in all of this in the future is not just how the community sticks to it, but how pretty much SOE gets closer in working together. Because I also agree with Vengeance that the more official things get, it can be really helpful for some formats.
Oh yeah. I mean, us kind of backing up Community Clash, I definitely see that it has made more outfits go ooh, and they're like ooh, maybe they want to progress a little bit further before they get themselves involved in it because they want to showcase their outfit in a very, very good light. And that to me
Yep.
goes, I like seeing that. And then when I hear people tell me that Community Clash is making their outfit more active, like they're actually playing more actively because they have a goal to move forward for. I think that stuff to me makes me really happy because you need that goal. You need that, hey, I want to be like that player. I mean, you get that when you watch other games, like League of Legends, StarCraft 2, etc. Any competitive game, you have people where you're like, I really look up to that guy. He's a support. I'm a support. I want to be just like him, right? And so you have these stories and these reports and these people that are building up. And I want to see more of that in PlanetSide 2. I think we have a few outfits here and there that are really well known, but we don't really have a lot of them. And there's some really good outfits that just have not been discovered in the sense of like the overall community.
Yep.
Just because there's not a lot of people getting involved in it, and we just need more of you. More of you, come with us, enjoy it.
Yep.
I want to move on to the next topic because we do have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight, and we're already moving into an hour worth of the show. Just so you guys know, the footage that you're watching is some footage that I went and some players were like, "Hey, we're gonna do this massive air fight." It was like on a day that I wasn't working, and I was like, well, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to take some footage of it. And so I took a bunch of footage and I cut it up and I chopped it up in my editor, and these were like the highlighted moments. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Let's move on to the next thing though. From a competitor's standpoint, what must happen during a tournament for us to consider it a success? What does a success mean under the context of PlanetSide 2 and the willingness to continue competing? And Kid, why don't you start us off with this? Again, I just want to reiterate, Kid started up this awesome panel with this lineup. We are missing Shock, I believe, was supposed to be our other guest, but Klyka has replaced him. Haha. And go ahead, Kid.
I think Klyka was touching about it, and you were talking about earlier, where it's the viewership, and not only the viewership increasing, but also the community's approach to the competition itself. How we compete. We said it earlier, like why are so many people against it when it's happening? Not only is it happening, but it's not happening, from a major corporation or well-funded and things. It's people giving their free time to this, and you would think there'd be a little more appreciation for it. Yes, there's going to be mistakes made. I mean, even Klyka said the rules in season 1 aren't going to be the same as season 2. I'm sure PAL itself might go through some different iterations of itself before you nail it down to a polished effect. And a lot of people have to understand there just is no precedent. You know what I mean? So for something to be a success, it's very new. So what do you say? Well, one, I'd say viewership. Two, it's the quality of the product being produced. The actual content being more polished, more well-rounded, easier to see, easier to understand from somebody that doesn't understand anything about PlanetSide 2 can maybe watch it and get a grasp of what's going on. And three, I would just say community involvement. I'd say it's those three things for me that determine whether a tournament was a success or not. And if each of those things go up even just a little bit or improve in a positive manner, I think that I would say, yeah, this was a success.
All right. What about you, Ender? We haven't heard from you in a bit.
I think exactly what Kid said, but as long as people keep having fun, that would be a success as far as the community is concerned in my eyes. As long as people are having fun, people are going to keep developing these kind of things, pressing these things, and pushing these things in on any avenue we can to see them get better as future seasons and future tournaments go on. The more attention it gets, the more SOE can kind of prioritize that kind of stuff. Yeah, I guess having fun in the community is the big part, because that's what's going to drive viewership. That's going to get attention to the entire topic and keep it moving forward.
Vengeance?
Pretty much to go over them. Yeah, I agree with both of them. I think it's about viewership and consistency. I think that if you have a consistent group of people that watch the event every, and kind of feed it with positive comments, I think that spreads out by itself. People get the hang of it really quick. It spreads out through through all of the members, since the community it's small in Planet. The competitive community is small in PlanetSide. I think anything you do right now, let's say if someone comes up with a like we talked earlier, like an air tournament or something, it will spread out really quick, because the competitive community, it's really small. And yeah, I don't know what else to add on it. I think KidRiot and Ender already covered pretty much most of it.
What about Klyka? You always have something to say. What can you add
Do-
on to this?
Do I
What
thought
is
I always
considered
just
a success?
I thought I always just repeat what the other three have said. Um, I think well the thing is I can't really say it from a competitor standpoint because I haven't actually competed myself yet. What I can say is that like from a caster's and viewpoint and someone who helps get the thing running, I think for me making it a success is when at the end of the tournament or at the end of the game that both teams are basically, kind of standing there with a huge smile on their face and saying like, see you next time. Because that's what it's all about. It's about not just about, having a winner or a loser or something like that or, it's about just getting two groups of people together playing a really, really cool and well presented match, and at the end of the day saying, we want to come back and we want to do this even better next time. And I feel that's been working really well. Like from everything that I've seen in Server Smash, in Community Clash, and in PAL,
Hmm.
I've never really seen anything where, like the loser or whatever said, "Oh my God, this was terrible. We're never coming back." Like
Yeah.
all it's only positive,
Hmm. Like
and I
they always
feel
want to get better, right? They go, "Oh, we just
yeah,
didn't realize X and Y," and like
yeah,
what you guys don't even get to see is after those interviews, there's even more conversations happening
yeah,
about stuff, even on like a grant, like like a more minuscule level of like
yep,
this moment in the fight, like when we're all
yep.
talking, and it's really cool for me to hear all these different. And the sportsmanship is what's really good. We've had outfits that don't have really good sportsmanship, but we've had the ones that do, they're definitely taken in a little bit more. The community loves them.
Yep.
So keeping in mind how you're represented and who you send as your representative is really important.
Yeah, like I was about to go into that real quick. Like in on the EU side of Community Clash, like once the game is finished, we usually sit in TeamSpeak for like at least another 15 minutes or something with, like the outfit representatives and so on.
Hmm.
And one of the things, like even in games where one outfit completely dominated the other, and we had like I don't know, like 24-0 or so on, and there was really not much of a real competition going on. At during those talks at the end, the outfit that got completely trashed and where the chat was like, oh my God, these guys are just not putting up a fight, like those outfits always said, we cannot wait for the next season to be here again.
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
know it's just it's great, it's great to see that, and I really love seeing it every time we put on the show.
Oh, and
And
it's
I,
awesome for us to watch all these outfits. They're like sitting there intensely watching all these fights because they're like they want to learn from these outfits, or they want to see the strategies that these guys are using so that they can, exploit them in the future.
or something, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's just a great overall just attitude from everybody, and I really think that's a success when it comes to this.
Oh, for sure. Well, let's go on and check our next thing on the list here, which is what are the distinct experiences and goals between Community Clash and PAL, and how can we help shape them as community members? So this isn't just about me or all these people on this panel. It's about us as a whole, all of us, all 200 of you watching and more that are not watching. So, Kid, why don't you start us off?
I'd say, I mean, it's actually pretty funny. We've actually been building up to this question, I think, throughout the whole time about, community's involvement, what they can do, maybe the involvement of the people organizing these events. And a lot of it has to do really is just to watch it. I mean, the most basic element is to watch it. Either watch it on Twitch. If you can't watch it on Twitch, watch it on YouTube. Because, I mean, that's what they say, right? It's like, you vote, vote with your dollar bill, but in this sense, you could vote with your view. And I think
Mm-hmm.
giving these events the viewership that they deserve is really the biggest way that the community can be involved. And they also have two very distinct flavors, right? PAL's about infantry only, and it's pretty intense. You see like a lot of rotations between like 2 or 3 people. It really comes down to like the subtleties and the dynamics of infantry play, which is the root of basically what community clash is, which is a combined arms aspect. You know what I mean? You can't take a base without infantry. So these two events, in my opinion, intertwine really well. But like I was saying, for community, and as far as both events, I would say basically just view them, just watch them.
Yeah. Be there. Be part of the
Yeah,
community,
be
talk
be
about it.
involved. I
Yeah.
mean,
Share
ev-
it on your socials with your friends, with all of the people that
yeah.
you play the game with. Yeah.
And if you see something happen, like maybe as far as production or content or even casting or whatever it is, if as long as the criticism is constructive and it can be used, that's fine. But you get those people that are kind of like haters gonna hate, and that's
Yeah.
that's not what you need. especially because everybody's doing this for their own free time. You know, nobody here is
Exactly.
like an MLG that has
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of like TV
Experience,
crews,
right?
experience. You know what I mean? So
I
everybody's
want to
learning
hit
as they
on that,
go.
kid. I think Klyka
Yeah.
can probably agree too.
Mm.
Seriously, we're not professionals in the sense of casting. We're not professionals in the sense of production. I think we have a couple people who are, but who are not necessarily running the back end of things. And we're trying. We're doing our best. We're running different things, and all of us do it on our own. The stuff that I do with Community Clash, all on my own time. SOE does not pay me to do that. That is me on my own time helping out, doing things because I want to, and I really love it. Like, I have been a fan of esports for a really long time, and I would love to see PlanetSide 2 in that realm because I see it. What's more competitive than massive PvP on like a ridiculous scale that no one else can get? Nothing, right?
Yeah,
So
it's very unique.
yeah, it's very
Yep.
unique, and I think there's a place for it because I think that people like watching that. They just need to understand what's happening. And I think on our end as casters, we need to paint that story for them. And we're still learning. Like
Yep.
it's weird when you're casting with somebody and maybe your casting partner changes and like you don't get used to them, and that's something that you need to do, but like continually giving us feedback on all of those things, we want that feedback. We give each other feedback, and we give each other goals for the next time. We're like, oh, we need to work on our transitions. We need to work on
Yep.
this. The video camera guys got to slow it down a bit. You got to get more inside close-up shots, like things like that. We're already trying to figure out those things, and if you guys just give us feedback, we are willingly going to take it because we want to get better, and we're doing it on our own time, and we love it.
Yep.
I want to give other people a chance to kind of talk about this subject. And let's see. Why don't we go with Vengeance? You've been quiet for a bit.
It's funny because it's funny you mentioned that the feedback, because when we came up with it wasn't actually me that came up with Paul. It was the community. Like, people asked me like, hey, that would be pretty cool if this happened, and when the word was put out there, everyone, they saw the first match and they were like, what would be pretty cool? You should fix this. You should do
Mhm.
this instead of like this. You should do it this way. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that the community addressed that I was like, wow, I've been working with this stuff, with Paul's stuff for so long, and that didn't even hit me. Like,
Yeah.
that's great. And there's people that actually sat down and saw the whole video, the whole first match that we did, and they were like, at 7 minutes and 50 seconds, I didn't like this part. At at 10 minutes and 59 seconds, you should do this instead of this. And I was like, oh, holy crap, this is really detailed.
Mhm.
So I think the community is actually putting a lot of it into what they want to see.
Pal has a really nice website too. You should go check it out. It's
Yep.
pretty nice. I don't know who did you make that?
Yeah, I actually did.
Yeah, it's sick. It's really nice, and
And
it's
and, and I
very
have to be
PlanetSide
honest,
2 esque.
I've done some stuff with the PAL team, and I got into all the other Google Docs, and it really impressed me how organized they were. I mean, like super organized. There's like a script for the events, with show notes, play-by-play
They're doing
caster,
it exactly like
producer
Com
events.
Clash. It's good.
Yeah,
Good.
it's
Exactly.
really professionally and really really well done. So I'm actually really impressed with it.
Aw, look at that. Get him to blush a little bit, maybe.
On, on
What about
on
you,
the
Klyka?
EU
Looks
side,
like you want to say something.
yeah, on the EU side, we just kind of rub two sticks together and make it work. No, I wanted to say one thing what you said about the casters and so on. I need to pick this up too. Yeah, like we're doing this in our free time. I'm not a caster. Like this is the first time I ever tried anything that has to do with casting.
Well, you're great at it,
Um,
so just keep getting better.
let's
The community
let's
loves you, so.
let's wait the praise. Let's wait with the praise a little bit. No, I'm of course I'm super glad that people are telling me that I'm doing a good job. On the other hand, I know full well that it's not like perfect or it's not amazing.
Mhm.
I'm trying to get better. Like you said, we're trying to pick up on stuff. We're taking criticism and so on. One thing that I hope a lot of people know is that we're kind of being a bit of pioneers when it comes to this, because PlanetSide 2 is a very different beast from other games. Like we've gone into this like in pretty much every single topic. We now said that how huge PlanetSide is. I
Yeah.
mean, you could make like three distinct games, like the air game, the vehicle game, and the infantry
Mhm.
game, out of PlanetSide 2, and you could have like three experts on one for each of
Ooh,
that.
yeah.
And like technically you as a caster, like what the community sometimes and a tactical and strategical genius, and you've also got a voice that doesn't make you scrape your ears out.
Yeah.
And that's just something you're not going to get yet, because we're literally just starting this whole thing out. Like, the streams that we're putting on are what I think are really quite well done. But if I think about what this could be in a year, or the kind of people who might be interested in casting PlanetSide 2 in 1 or 2 years or so on, and like when they've kind of grown up with it and they know what it's about, like, those people are probably, they're just going to go like, hey, I'm going to cast this, and they'll blow us out of the water.
Yeah. Oh, and they've been
And
doing it for years, right? So they already
yeah,
bring in that experience. But I like
yeah.
what you said, Klyka, because when you think about the way that PlanetSide 2 needs to be casted, and I watched, when I got to be involved with Server Smash, I think that opened my eyes a little bit too, because there were so many fights going on. We had so many
Server Smash
people
is
kind
insane.
of bringing in their perspective. So it wasn't just, we had two main casters, but we had all these other side casters giving us intel, and I thought that was really neat. And it got
Yeah.
me thinking, like, what kind of craziness would we have if we had, easy play-by-plays that we could, replay and show people what happened. Well, this happened over here, and like kind of breaking it down, and even bringing in more casters. I think for Community Clash in general, for the North American side, we've been talking about trying to change up the way that we cast, maybe having 4 casters and not, but I mean having 2 main casters, but having all these extra people that are there who are bringing in perspectives that and filling in those time frames that we can't necessarily see.
Yep.
So I don't know, like, it'll be interesting to see what happens a year or 2 down the road, like you're saying. Who knows?
Yep.
We are pioneers. We're trying this out. We're seeing where it goes. And as community, I want to bring this back to the main topic, which is what are the distinct experiences and goals between Community Clash and PAL, and how can we shape them as a community? I think you guys, as community members, can tell us, well, these are the things we'd like to know that are going on that we're not getting, right? Because that makes us
Right.
go, as casters, ooh, maybe we need to be changing up what things we're looking at, or maybe we need to put someone on that one thing that we're not, right? So
Right, because you know how it goes when you're casting, you're so focused and you're so intent. It's very easy to miss something.
Yeah.
As far as action goes. I mean, even if you just look this way, you might miss something coming in through this door. Sometimes there's all kinds of things that we miss, but the community watching it has a whole different experience. Going through and say, help, like Vengeance would say, maybe at this point we could have done this, maybe at that point you could have done that. So, I mean, like I said, there's no precedent for this. None of us are professional casters, whatever it is. Everybody does this because they have a passion for it. And so I just hope the community grabs onto that and shows equally, that they're equally as passionate about making this happen. Because it's basically, it's for all of us, right?
yeah, it's for
Yeah.
everyone.
Like, honestly, if we put on a community clash and afterwards I see a thread, like, for example, on Reddit or the forums, where half of it is like talk about the game, and the other half is pretty much telling me like, that and that was good camera movement, that was bad camera movement, that and that was well set, that and that was badly set. Like, that's all I want, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
just tell us what we're doing well, and we'll keep doing it. But please, please, please tell us what we're doing really badly, and we'll work on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, when I think about the future and what I see, like, the community being involved in, is just, I keep going back to, I really want to see like a live studio audience having, the teams up there battling, and then their leader kind of commanding. Like, I can just see that already in my head, and obviously that's a long, long time down the road, or maybe not even possible, depending on how much the community backs us up. But that's a thing to think about. We could have that. If we get more people that are involved in this and that are viewing it, that are learning to cast on their own, that are running all these side things, that could be something that you could see in the future. But
Yeah.
go
And I
ahead.
think something interesting to note too. I don't want to break off into it, but it's something just that I think I just thought about actually is when PS4 comes out. How's that going to change everything? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's a
Because yes, we are the
huge, huge community of
right.
players.
Yes, we are the pioneers. But as far as content goes, they're going to be going back to all the Community Clash content, the PAL content, the Server Smash content, because those are going to be the precedents for the PS4 community.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting to see how they intertwine. Is it going to be conflict? Are they going to come together? What's going to happen? So it'll be pretty interesting to see.
Yeah. And Ender, you haven't really gotten to talk much about this. So what do you think are the ways that the community members can help us shape all these different aspects of whether it's Community Clash or PAL or a new thing that's coming up?
Sure. I think a lot of what was already said is pretty great. Like Klyka mentioned the Reddit. Like, as long as you keep the comments, like, give criticism, but make sure they're constructive, you know, like don't just say, oh, that was terrible, and leave the and I mean, I think everybody on the ComClash team, specifically the ComClash team, I'm sure it's the same thing for PAL, and I wouldn't say enjoys, but appreciates the criticism so that they can make changes for the next time it happens. And as far as the community goes, I guess in another aspect, take for example the stat site that 50 runs or that 50 has created and I host. When PS4 launches, I'm trying to get some coders together right now because 50 expressed interest in completely overhauling it so that we can accommodate PS4 and also compartmentalize it so we can kind of have other people help us out with it and expand it in the future for specifically like these events. Like he's been running the after game stats and stuff like
Yeah,
that
it's
for these events.
really cool. Why don't you give the website for that so we can toss that in chat for people?
Sure, it's stats.dasanfall.com, and Dasanfall is DASANFALL.
Yeah, and I'll post a link in chat. You're gonna love the camo that they got going on.
If it is actually closed registration now for a couple of reasons, but if anybody wants a code, you can just PM me either on Reddit or the official forums. My official forums name is just Ender. My Reddit name is just EnderVS. If you PM me, I'll get you a code as soon as I can or as soon as I have a chance, and you can check that kind of stuff out.
Yeah, it's a really cool product that they were allowing the public to have at one point, and now
Well,
it's
it's
scaled
still
down a
it's
bit,
still
but
public.
yeah.
And anybody that's ever asked me, I've given them a registration code, and anybody that's been registered for I think a month actually gets 3 registration codes to give out to their friends. So it's
It's good
fairly
stuff.
accessible.
And I love the aftermath reports kind of things. You guys, it's a little confusing sometimes when you first look at it, but
It
it
is.
does
I
break
told
down a
him the
lot of
same
stuff.
thing.
Yeah, it does break down a lot of the stats, and if you want to look over it, kind of get a good picture of it, it's great for casters because we can go back. I think for Saturday's match, which is the World Finals, I'm gonna have so much stuff to pull back from because I'll have like the strategies that people have been using for X base and being able to pull in that knowledge and be able to bring that back into it and go, well, this is a possibility that they might try to do. Those kind of things where we didn't have that before. We're like, well, this is what we've seen on the live servers, and live servers are completely different when you look at it compared to what you're seeing now with competitive play to a certain extent. But yeah, really cool stuff. But do we have anything else that we want to add, or for ways that the community themselves can get involved and help shape these different events? Like we said, we're pioneers to this, so there's so many ways that you guys can help us make it be a completely different event than it is right now. And if you guys don't know, PAL is a 12v12, and Community Clash was a 20v20, 24v24 in the first season. So.
No, I think that pretty much covers it. Just be involved. You
Yeah.
know, just watch it. At the most basic element, just watch it. One way or the other on Twitch or YouTube.
And if you want to check out Community Clash, that's ps2comclash.com. And Pal, do you want to give your information as well?
Yeah, for Paul is proarenaleague.com. That's the website. We're actually doing this new event. It's called Paul Weekly, which is pretty much infantry only fight, as you'll know, for the Paul format. And we twisted a little bit, and we, instead of doing a tournament, which we're doing a tournament too, we're doing 2 events at a time. We're doing the actual 32 outfit tournament, and on top of that, we're doing this other event called Paul Weekly, which is pretty much every time you want to participate, you just fill in, and will get back to you, and we'll pick 4 outfits from that queue, all those people that actually showed interest on it, and we'll match them on a weekly, like a small weekly bracket every week. So every Saturday there's a match at 7 p.m. Eastern time for any outfit that wants to participate, and we've been doing this for 2 weeks now. And every time you win, you get a victory badge, which ranks you up on our leaderboard that we created on our site. So it'll be pretty fun to see all these outfits that no one knows to come on, to the surface and beat these really good outfits that people really thought, couldn't be beaten. And yeah, I mean, if you wanna check that out, it's proarenaleague.com, and all the information's there.
Yeah, I just chose a link for Pro Arena league.com, PS2 Comclash, and I also put in ps-pickups.engine.com in there as well because I think it's another great thing that we have our community is doing. If you guys have more events, please let us know about them. I definitely want to. There's actually a submission form on the Friday Night Ops section that's called "What is this Friday Night Ops you speak of?" And there's actually a section for events. So if you fill that out for me, it'd be great because then I can even plug it at the end of the show too. So yeah, keep sending those to. This is going to be a long Friday Night Ops, everyone. I hope you're ready because I have a lot of videos to showcase after this panel as well. But I don't want to cut people off short because I feel like this is such a good thing that we have going for us. So give me a moment, and we're going to play a video quick. I'm going to tell these guys to silence themselves, and then we will move into the next topic. So let me move this over. And I'll make sure the volume's a little louder. Last time it was not. I'm sorry. It's my bad. Yeah, so that is fantastic. And if you guys want to give that a thumbs up, I just linked it in chat. If you're watching this as a recap, go check out Division. And this is PlanetSide 2 Liberator Montage. It's HD. Connor 101 ABTF. Fantastic. I actually played the wrong video, so I will play the other one that was supposed to be played later. But really great lib play. I mean, someone in chat said, and I thought this was really humorous to me, was watching a real pilot play PlanetSide 2 is cheats. Because seriously, when you watch people who are really good at it, you're just like, man, that's insane. That guy was solo libbing the whole entire time, which is not something that I think everyone can do. And I think it really displays how you have that skill gap of like that initial player who's playing on a Liberator versus like the player who is very experienced and knows what they're doing. So I want to move on to our next topic, which is competitive play and the outfits that are involved in that. And with me are the panelists for tonight's that KidRiot put together. So we have KidRiot, we have Ender, we have Klyka, and we have Vengeance on the main screen here. He's the one that's all big. And we're going to move on to the outfits / teams of PlanetSide 2. And so the first thing within this topic is, what are the key components that an up-and-coming outfit or an outfit struggling in competition, for instance like Community Clash or PAL, can take to heart and improve on? And I think this is really, I wish we had some more people who were outfit leaders within this who had been in any of these competitions. We have Ender, who I know is definitely going to give his perspective, but there are so many things that I have listened to other outfit leaders give one another tips or props or things like that, or even saying like, oh man, we are going to start working on doing that, or when we come back in the next match we're going to be working on this. And we've even seen that within Community Clash during the different brackets. I mean, people came into regional finals going, we know what we're going to do. We've progressed. We've gotten better at doing X or Y. And so let's start this off. Vengeance, since you're on the main screen, why don't you start us off with what you think about...
I'll actually pass this one to Ender, since he has way more experience than me on participating in competitive events. So,
all right, maybe we definitely want to start with Ender. How about you, Ender? Since you are, I guess, one of the outfit leaders of that type who have competed in one of these, let us know what your perspective is on this.
Sure. I think the biggest thing, or hurdle rather, is once you've got your team together, I'm going to assume that most people in leadership type positions can put their team together or get something going. Once you're in that position, don't, like, if you do a scrim or a match or something like that, don't take it to heart. Like if you lost, like, oh no, the world is ending. That's not how you want to think about that kind of stuff. You want to go back to your team, talk to them. What did we do wrong? What could we do better? And you always have to be in that mindset. I know there's several teams that have kind of focused on, well, this team is doing this and this and this. And really a lot of the progress you're going to make initially, if you're kind of a fledgling competitive team, is you need to be focusing inward. Like, what can we do better next time? Was it our strat? Was it just that our skill wasn't up to par in a certain area? Or, what did we do wrong that we could have done better and we can do better next time? Another good thing is, like, I really helped us out, our Any Elite, because they kind of...
Make sure you say that right.
Yeah, Any Elite. They kind of became our sparring partner there for a while, I guess you could say. We had several scrims with them that really, really helped us a lot, because a big part of the competitive scene, at least as far as 24s goes, is how do you manage that many people on TeamSpeak?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have them... when you first go in on live, a lot of people run in the same channel for whatever voice client they're using. And when you go to competitive, that doesn't quite work anymore. Maybe it works for you, I don't know. But as far as I'm, like, when I'm trying to platoon lead, squad lead, and I have everybody talking in my ear at once, I can't do it. Like, there's just too many audio cues going on at once. So usually, I mean, there's got to be some type of command and control system in place that allows for easy communication, but it doesn't hinder your communication, I guess. So even stuff like that, like a lot of the scrims with Any Elite, I think I'm on my 7th iteration of moving my own place and changing my own role within my competitive team. I started, with the platoon lead and squad lead and everybody in the same channel. That was very apparent that was not going to work right away. I've moved myself to Bravo and tried a couple squad leaders in Alpha, moved myself to Charlie, experienced or played around with 4 squads, 3 squads. There's so many different things you can do that it's easy after you do a scrim or something like that to take that back to your team pump everybody up. We did good. This is our first time we ever did anything. Take that back and see what people have to say, and then as a group together move forward and what can we do next time. And if you have a scrim partner, you can more easily implement those changes and see how they work for your team.
Yeah, and I just want you guys to know I'm going to play some footage in the background. This is footage that I took. I believe this is Vindicators that I was following around. This is just a side thing that I did as well, just so that we have some stuff going on in the background while we're chatting about things. And we're chatting about, for all of you who are just joining us, I believe we just had a huge spike in viewers here. We are talking about competitive play in PlanetSide 2. The topic is right now, what are the key components that an up-and-coming outfit or an outfit struggling in competition like Community Clash or PAL can take to heart and improve on? And Ender is one of the outfit leaders who has kind of talked about a little bit about his perspective on things. And there are so many things that I think outfit leaders can improve on, and I think that you hit on a lot of great topics. Does anyone else want to add anything onto that? Kid, maybe? Since you put this
Yeah,
wonderful panel together.
yeah. I just want to say that what Ender was talking about, I know him and me were talking about it earlier, is it's really hugely important. That's how you communicate. You got to figure out what works for you. But I think outfits soon find out that having 24 people on one channel just doesn't work. I know a lot of people are used to it. But even on like live server ops, segregating your people into different, squad channels is hugely important
Mm-hmm.
because just of how much happens. I mean, you think about all the things that are happening, and especially in a competitive match, and how much you have to keep track of. For PAL, I could see 12 people stay in the same channel. That's easy. But when you have 24, you're talking about air, you're talking about armor, you're talking about infantry. And if the infantry aren't able to call out what they need support with, if armor isn't able to call out what they're doing, imagine air, imagine all three wings of
Yeah,
an
just
outfit.
yelling at each other all at once. It'd
I'd be
be
like,
mass
dude, forget it.
chaos.
Yeah,
It
just
is a
don't.
mess.
It's a
Yeah.
mess. So really, you have communication is so important, and making it easy to communicate so that everybody knows what's going on at the exact, basically as fast as possible. So somebody like Ender can make a call, or even the squad leaders. Maybe if he runs his office, so squad leaders make the calls. You know what I mean? But no matter what your style is, if your communication sucks, your outfit is not going to perform well. And even beyond that, like what's one of the first things that we all learned? Air matters. And sometimes what we saw, especially in Innie versus MCY, is no matter how good you are, and Innie's one of the best outfits out there. Sometimes it's easy to forget stuff because it's easy to lose focus, and you have to stay focused no matter what's going on. You have to stay cool and make sure that, like I said, you're if you're going to run on all cylinders, that everything is happening. You don't just dedicate, you don't just toss in your eggs all in one basket. That you have your armor, your infantry, and your air all working together all the time, constantly, and you never let up.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you could ask Ender what it's like after a match, how he feels. You know what I mean? I remember.
It's I've had several distinct experiences with the competitive stuff. I remember the first time when I didn't really, I was kind of like, well, we're gonna come in this. We'll use two different TeamSpeak channels. We'll kind of wing it. That was the first time we had scrimmed
Right.
Future Crew and got, yeah, our butts handed to us on a silver platter. Um, at some points during that match, you have to have a strong leader, I guess, or strong
Mhm.
multiple leaders. You can't just rely on one person. The DA team definitely,
Well,
like I'm
especially in a 24v24 when you have,
yeah.
armor column and infantry column and then maybe some spec ops as well. And your infantry.
I
Right.
mean, I'm probably definitely the linchpin, I guess you could say, of the team. But if I didn't have my squad leaders or the people stepping up, to make shots and stuff like that, we wouldn't have gotten nearly as far as we
Yeah.
have. I like the first time, the whole communication thing was really highlighted to me was so we have channel commander in TeamSpeak. We also have whispers set up and stuff like that. And at one point, everybody needed to do a recall. Like the decision had to be made quick. We had to recall. We needed vehicles. We needed to push them quick, or we were going to lose that base. Well, I had the air ask me a question at the same time when somebody asked me a personal question. At the same time, I'm trying to put a waypoint down on the map. I just got killed. I can't put a waypoint down on my map anymore. And somebody else has asked me a question, and there are people talking in my channel. I'm like, what is going on? I don't know. And I mean, those are just some of the things you start to run into that you maybe don't normally run into on live that you start to experience during scrims and matches and stuff like that. And it's definitely a unique experience. But I mean, as long as you stay positive about it and keep pushing forward and improving and listening to your guides, what they're telling you, even as a leader, take your own guys' advice. You're not an all-knowing person. I mean, as much as I like to think that I'm not. Like I would be lost without my guys. So definitely take it back to your team. Use their feedback and improve as a team. And definitely, um, I guess, push that mentality that you are one team. You know, everybody needs to be supporting each other. Don't let anybody get down on anybody else. Like, well, you screwed this up and blah blah. That's not what
Yeah,
you want to focus
the
on.
finger pointing is like one of the worst things you can do.
And if you do it in a
Yeah.
match, you're going to lose.
No, you're done because your
Yeah.
morale goes out the window. You're done.
Yep,
Well, and
that-
if you're wasting all that time yelling at somebody, going, "Oh, you messed up," and then arguing about the point of how they messed up and whatnot, and instead of looking at, I mean, you can talk about those things after the fight and be like, "Let's take that
20, yeah.
offline," and then right now talk about how we can move forward. Sure, we messed up. What can we do now to move forward and actually win this battle instead of focusing on something that happened 10 minutes ago?
Well,
absolutely.
it's like one of those things that I was even watching some League of Legends, and it was something that we had done in NUC too, where it's like if somebody makes a bad call, it's better to go in 100% on that bad call than some people say, well, no, I don't agree with it, so I'm not going to do it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? It's better to commit fully one way or the other, and maybe learn from it. Hey, who knows? You never know what's going to come out from it. You might attack a point with people with not enough people or with too many people, and maybe you'll hold it better. You know what I mean? It was like the whole Indy versus MCY thing where Indy took back the base, and I'm sure they were cheering and said, "Yeah, we got this. The game's tied." And look what happened.
Yep.
They were able to get it back, but they weren't able to get it back because they kept doing the same mistakes. Like they got tunnel visioned. So that's when you really have to like listen to your squad leaders and say, "Hey, maybe we're not doing the right thing. You know, maybe we should do something else." And then you make the decision, and then everybody responds right away.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
definitely,
Tunnel
there's
vision
definitely
is
a
a
fine
good
balance
point.
to it
Tunnel
between,
vision
I
is a good
guess,
point.
listening to people's suggestions when you're in the match. Because when you're in the match, I mean, 20 seconds matters. It
No,
really
yeah.
does. And you can see
That's a
that
whole
in the
respawn wave. The
Yep,
whole
you can
respawn
see
wave,
that
yeah.
in the INI and MCY match. I mean, some of those caps came down to last second
Yep.
to captures. In our match for NNG, I think we had 2 seconds left on Skylance, and we got pushed off. There's one max left. Max goes down, flips back to VS. I don't want to lose all that time, but our Sunder just went down. What do you do? And if I guess, like I said, there's a really fine balance between, how many suggestions do you let happen in the comms channels, and I guess which ones do you take? Which ones are just chewing up your reaction
Right.
time?
But ultimately that's your pressure. You have to make the decision no matter
It
what's been suggested.
it really is, but I guess for new teams, you definitely want to have some sort of
Like,
guideline, on
yeah,
how people
sure.
should be responding to stuff. It's great to point stuff out, and people do that all the time on live, which is awesome. But when you get multiple people pointing out a bunch of different stuff, like we used to have the problem where, and we probably still actually do have the problem where somebody will say something, they don't even call it out. The decision hasn't been, okay, go do this, but they said it, and somebody heard that, so somebody starts doing that. And all of a sudden, like in the NNG match, I said, okay, I need 2 maxes here. The Galaxy is going to pick you up here. This is when we were transitioning to the tech plant. I wanted the maxes at Chimney, so we had 2-3 maxes ready at Chimney. Waypointed it, go to the waypoint, pick those maxes up. Everybody else will spawn in the Galaxy. We'll drop on the Galaxy or the balcony. We'll get in there. Well, somebody else said Heyoka Chemical, just the name of the base. The Gal pilot flew to Heyoka Chemical. Needless to say, there was a lot of AA in that area, and we lost the Gal.
Yeah.
We had a couple of other flyers as backup beacons, so it didn't matter. But that kind of stuff happens all the time. Like timing and stuff like that is huge. So, I mean, it really does come down to controlling communication and making sure that everybody's kind of on the same page.
And competitive play timing is insane. You have these small brackets of bracket windows
Yeah,
where you
exactly,
can do something
windows
and
of
you can
time.
make a play. And if you do not take advantage of that, you you get wrecked. Let's just put it that way. Anyone
Pretty
in
much.
chat can attest to that. So there are moments where I'm watching and I'm just like, oh man, if they just got their stuff together, made a huge push right now, they could totally put the other outfit on the defensive. But then they don't. They don't take advantage of that, and then they're continually on the defensive themselves, and that is where you spiral backwards. The outfits that we've seen do the best, and I mean, Dasanfall, you guys can attest to that as well, is the ones who are consistently aggressive. Even when they're defending, they're still pushing people forward, trying to be aggressive, whether that's with their air or dropping in a few infantry nonstop on their base, making them pull back a few of their guys until you get that open bracket window where you can fully force all your guys to move forward.
Absolutely. And that's kind of on whoever is leading your competitive team too. Like, you have to know when these timings are going to, I guess, align to take advantage of them. And if you don't, you're probably going to be on the defensive. And if you're on the defensive, I guess you can see it from our matches. I really like pushing because as soon as I flip that next point, that means I have a huge buffer period depending on how much we flipped it. And even if it's just people tapping the point, if the other team has pulled, well, So, and not to knock NNG, because NNG is a great outfit, and I love NNG. Jamal is a great leader. But when they rolled those 7 prowlers, and all of a sudden there's 10 maxes coming into our point at Heoka Chemical, well, we had just flipped the point of the tech plant. You now have to abandon all those maxes, all those
Yep.
prowlers. You can stay in them, but you better be sure that your defenders or the people that you're sending back are going to be able to flip the point. Because if you don't, you've already lost all that time and all those resources, and you are in a really bad spot.
Yeah, and a lot of these things are really subtle. Like people, outfits that are just starting, they're not going to know these windows. They're not going to be able to recognize them. So the way they can is just through practice. I mean, like even you were saying when you first started screaming, how your outfits changed, even personally, how like your position in the outfit or the way you run the outfit in competition has
Oh
changed what,
yeah,
like 7 times.
well, yeah, probably right around 7.
Yeah, around there. And so these outfits that are coming in, it's not going to work. What they do is not going to work right away because they just have no experience. They can't recognize the windows. Maybe they're not as aggressive as they need to be. And like we've always seen, especially in PlanetSide 2, it's a game about momentum. And the more aggressive you are, the better it is. But it doesn't mean you do everything like so fast and disorganized. It means everything's kind of like carefully planned, but you be as aggressive as possible. And I think a lot of outfits too from the live server don't realize that they're not used to that. They're used to like, let's rally up here, let's wait for the galaxies, let's do this and that. It's almost
It's
not as aggressive as it
it's
needs
so
to.
easy in live for I mean, you could do an organized something and it goes really well, but it's so easy to get overwhelmed by numbers in live that competitive really highlights like where do you where do you put your armor? Where do you put your air? How many people
Right.
do you dedicate to each of those? Who's in what squad? Who's putting beacons up? And on like the current format I use for kind of how we do communication in DA TeamSpeak during a match, I don't even have platoon leader, squad lead. Like I don't start with either of those, and I don't want them.
Right.
I'm the shot caller, but I don't want those actual physical positions within the squad because it slows me down and it hinders me, and I delegate those
Right.
actually to other people that can do them as well as or better than me.
Right. But is that something that you did right away or you learned over time
No,
through
no.
practice? You see,
I
that's,
thought
that's exactly what I'm saying.
I was going to be master and commander right away, man. I had everything. I was going to put the waypoints down and tell everybody what to do, and that did just that doesn't work.
I
Yeah.
want to hit on one more thing. I know that we talked quite a bit now about the open windows where you have to figure out timing and you have to dedicate guys to being on the offensive and utilizing those windows of time. I also want to kind of talk about spawns in general and kind of suppressing the enemy and continually keeping yourselves having a spawn point and moving forward. I think that that's something that outfits don't really realize until they get into a competitive play like this, where they're like, man, you watch some of these outfits and they're like, they are not taking out the spawn, so they're just letting the enemy
Right.
continue
Yeah.
to oppress
Yep.
them. And then you also have the outfits that, I mean, Das Anfall versus Future Crew, that fight for regional finals was insane. Like both of you guys, no one was getting spawns up.
No
It was
mercy.
just intense.
There will be no Sundays.
Yeah, there were no like there were a couple little Sunday duos that were trying to work together, and then there was a trio at one point, and it's just cracking me up watching both of you guys being so persistent, and then it ended up in a 0-0. No one scored anything, and then you had a sudden death, and that was the determination of who would win and who would go on to World Finals, which was just amazing to me. But
And
I want to kind of discuss that, and Ender, if you want to go ahead and
Sure.
say
I was
your
just going to say
perspective.
on the spawn point, that is something you definitely learn. Maybe not quickly in matches, but as you go on, you realize that at some point you need to have you need a hard spawn up
Yeah.
for at least until like the last minute 30, and then you can kind of all in on the point. But at that point,
Well, you can
it's
use
still
beacons too if you're
you
smart,
can.
but you have to put those in places where or defend them, right?
They're really, I guess, I have everybody viewing them now. We definitely try to keep a beacon up, and we
Mhm.
do a really good job at that. But they're really more of a supplement
Yep.
anymore. It's more of a get an individual back in here or there. The Galaxy has played obviously a huge role. As if you've ever watched any of our matches, our Galaxy pilot is
Yeah.
awesome, and we definitely utilize that in an offensive manner too. Because I can be like, my platoon leader will move my. I mean, since he's in the Galaxy most of the match, he can shift the Galaxy pilot between the squads, and all my squads can just immediately spawn in there when they need to, so I can fill that Galaxy up as fast as I need to. But if you don't have a hard spawn, you're pretty much last standing from the beginning, and when you're up against an outfit like Future Crew, that's just not going to work. Which is kind of why I adopted the dual Sunday repair bus to try and get them there in tandem so they could protect each other. The thing was, as soon as we tried to deploy them, like I think it died actually within 15 seconds the first time I ever tried to deploy it. That's why we were running around so much in the match, because they were all over. As soon as you deploy and it's stationary and they can lock it down. But spawns are definitely a huge thing, and you can get pretty creative with how you do it. It just depends, on what works best for your outfit and how you want to do it.
Yeah, and that's one of those like subtle and not so subtle things too. Like even in PAL it happens a lot, where basically if you can kill somebody, say it takes time for the medic to come, but if the medic doesn't come, that's at least 15 seconds. They have to wait, counting the time it takes to run from whatever the spawn is to the actual objective. That's more time added, and these caps are like what 7 minutes. So you could like figure out the math. You're talking about like maybe 6 or 7 spawn waves, 6 or 7 attempts. And so
Yeah,
if you only take 2 attempts, you just wasted how many spawns in a way. You know what I mean?
and that's
And,
kind of where that buffer thing that I was talking about
yeah,
earlier comes back. Because once you have that point flip, they can't technically flip your point behind you. So it really doesn't. I mean, you don't want them to have spawns set up and ready
no,
to go if you're not going to be able to keep flipping it.
Hmm.
But you have a buffer there where you can kind of, okay, everybody quick. We're all going back right now. We're going to this base. We're pulling this. You're pulling this. You're
right,
pulling this. You're going this class. Go. And you kind of have to make those decisions fast. But that buffer gives you a little more leeway in making those.
exactly.
Whereas if you don't flip the point and they start flipping it behind you,
Ooh.
exactly what could happen. I mean, you start rolling armor up, you have your Sunder up in the next base. Yeah, this
Oh,
is
and if
going
you're
really
pulling
well.
armor, that's the worst because it's so slow and you're not gonna be able to get to the other base in time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
we saw that a lot in Esamir. It happened all the time on Esamir.
And I mean, Esamir's so wide open that Air has free reign on killing Sunderers so well, and there's not a whole lot of places to put them that, I mean, it's a downer for a platoon leader when Air is hitting all at the same time. People are galaxy dropping, 12 people, 11 people just galaxy dropping the point. I've got 3 Sunders moving up. Oh crap, our point behind us is gone. How many do I send back?
And that,
What
ooh, that's a perfect point where you just said, how many do I send back? And what we've seen in the past, especially with community clashes, if they send back their whole crew, everyone is like recalling.
You've
Sometimes
just
that can
lost
be,
your
yeah, you
complete
just
forward
lost your
momentum.
offensive push, right? And then there's people who just send in a couple guys, and sometimes that isn't enough, right? So
And
it's
they lose
notice,
time.
yeah, it's noticing, and also having that recon, right? Having those guys. I think a lot of times what you'll see is they'll have an air guy who goes back and takes an ESF and kind of checks it out and is like, okay, this is how many we have to send, or there's somebody already at the base waiting and watching, and having that intel is really important.
It really is. Well, and see, like with our future crew match,
Hmm.
like if we have a recon going, well, there's one infill here. Well, that one infill can quickly turn into all 24
12.
Oh
people.
yeah, if they
Yeah.
put
Like it
down a
doesn't
squad
take
beacon, they move
long
forward. Yeah.
for that to happen. And that's something as a platoon leader or a squad leader or the shot caller, whatever you want to call it within your team, you have to make that decision, and you cannot you can't be slow about it. You have to make it, and you have to stick with it, and your people have to trust you that you're making the best decision for the team.
Right.
Like you said, how many do you send back? Do I send 6 back? Do I recall everybody? If you recall everybody, you lose your Sunder replacement. Your area is exposed because it has nobody on the ground is shooting bursters or killing the sky guards or anything like that. It's a big decision. How many people do you send back, and what do you
Yeah.
sacrifice to do it?
Yeah, and I know we could talk about this stuff forever. So, and we've already been talking about it for at least 15 minutes, just this one little subsection of this topic. So, I want to move on to the next one. This is kind of the cool stuff about uh, just competitive gameplay and listening to these guys talk. I mean, talk to these guys offline. We'll send out the Twitters and whatnot at the end. Definitely go follow them. If you have more conversations that you want to have about all of these topics, go forward and do so. These guys love it, and I love it, and that's why we do this for fun on our own, right?
Yes,
Absolutely.
So, on the topic of outfits and teams in PlanetSide 2, this is the next question that we have. In Community Clash, we all know the importance of air, but is it that simple? What does it take for an outfit to run in full cylinders and claim a victory? How does that translate to peer infantry competition of PAL? And I want to start off with Vengeance, not only because you just haven't gotten to talk that much, but because we haven't heard as much about PAL as we have about Community Clash, and I know there's been a lot of Community Clash talk all throughout this evening. I think it's because a lot of us are very involved in it. But why don't you give us your perspective?
Yeah, I think the key is like the less people you require to do a specific job, doesn't matter what kind of job it is, the less people you require to do it successfully, I think that's the best way. That's why a lot of force multipliers, if you think about Community Clash, that's why the air game is so important in Community Clash, because they're really great force multipliers. Same with maxes. When you take this analogy or whatever, like when you take this scenario on Paul, well, what Paul is trying to do is remove a lot of the force multipliers so that it evens out a little, so that you can, if you're gonna fight on infantry, you can rely on a force multiplier as a max, for example. So I think, yeah, I think like the key is to less people to do a job, and then you have more people on the side to do different stuff on the same whatever strategy you're looking for.
I think the interesting thing for me with PAL in general is that if you were to dedicate all 12 of your guys to being in the air, then you have to think about it as like the objectives on the ground.
Yeah.
You have all these guys in the air, right? What are you doing to keep the momentum going forward as far as keeping the enemy off the point? I think you could do it in a 12v12 and have air dominance, because we've seen air dominance just, it's insane what it can do in a fight. And if you continually keep that and you just drop a guy out who like goes in and like basically hacks the control console, then gets back in, and you just make sure you're covering that point in the air. I think it could work. It has potential, but honestly, I haven't gotten to see as many PAL fights, so I don't know what the strategies are or how people are retaliating against that and
One of
countering
the
it.
PAL matches that it's really interesting is that it's the Octagon, which is on Asimir. For those who don't, it's based on Asimir with 4 points. That base is pretty interesting because even for 12 guys, you really need to rely on those 12 people to do all the job. One man down and you're already having trouble with capturing 1 point. And since a lot of outfits have used a strategy that they will get a little influence on the base, and then they will stay on 2 points since it's 4 points, and they'll stay on neutral, and they'll let the time run by so they can win.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's so many strategies you can like mold, you can shape around the Octagon, because it's 4 points,
Yeah.
and it's 12 guys. You only have 12 guys for 4 points. If you look at it, it's 3 or 4 guys per point. So you really need to depend on those guys, that if you get hit by 6 guys or you get a full death ball on 1 point, you need to depend on those 3-4 guys that are covering that point to really do their job.
Yeah.
So I think that's when you see like the not only the outfit people rooting for outfits, but people rooting for players.
Mm-hmm.
When you see on the stream like, oh look, Ender just took out 6 guys alone, like that's crazy. And then people start recognize who Ender is, and they go like, you know, this is really fun. This is like, I could get my name out there by playing on this match and doing the same thing that Ender did. And it's an example, but it's kind of like the thing that people that are going after reputation as a single player, I think it's really good. It's a good chance for those players out there.
Yeah, you're definitely going to be seen. I think you brought up a great topic with competitive play, especially for PAL, where you have a 12v12. I think it's still apparent in a 24v24. We've talked about it in the past too, where if one of your guys is not in the right place, it could be a detriment to your whole team. And in a 12v12, that is insane. Like if you lose that one guy and there's no spawns for him, no beacons, no nothing, it's going to take him a long time to get back in the fight, and you're down to 11 guys, right? So and not only that, but it's like if you have a medic on your team, he needs to be doing work nonstop, getting those guys back into the fight. And there's just so much dynamic. And then it comes down to, in a 12v12, what is your team makeup, right? Do you have to change it based on what's going on, and how are you able to do that, right? So there's so many dynamics. I want to get some other perspectives in here as well. Klyka, what about you? How you feeling?
I feel that the importance of air has been a little overstated beforehand, because what we did see in the beginning of Community Clash was always that we had this one outfit which went like really heavily into the air,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of took out like whatever few air forces the other outfit that wasn't as big as into air kind of mustered. They took them out, and then the other outfit went like, well, we can't beat them in the air. Let's just, stay on the ground where we're safe, or well, so we think, as we're getting bombarded. And what it really is that, like Vengeance said, force multipliers incredibly important, because you have a certain amount of players. So the stronger you can make each of your single units in its specific roles, obviously, the more valuable it is. Now the thing with air is that air, if they have free reign of the skies, like air can do whatever they want. Like they can shoot into a building, they can take out spawn points, or they can, like fly over some infantry and kill them all. The problem with air, though, is that, because they're flying around so clearly, is that they're really, really open to being deterred, especially by other air. Like if there are 2 or 3 Mossies hovering over a base and shelling it, a single Reaver starts shooting at them, and all the 3 Mossies basically have to go, oh
Yep.
my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like there's another guy, like we have to take him out before we can go back to what we're doing here right
If
now.
they're smart, right? If they're not,
It,
then they just all die because that Reaver
yeah.
gets
I mean,
to have
unless
some
those
bum
three
action.
pilots, unless those 3 pilots are literally like so good that like one of them just turns around, insta gives the Reaver, and
Oh,
they turn
and
back.
that comes down to communication, right? Like if there's three
Yeah,
of you and they're like, "Hey, Bob, go take care of that," and Bob's like, "All
yeah.
right, on it," and he takes
But
care of it.
But in general, what you're doing is in the air, as long as you're keeping the enemy air busy, like even if your pilots are not as good, but every single second that the enemy air is looking at you and trying to shoot you down, or is messing with the own air, and maybe, gets a bit deterred by some ground AA, they can't really, they're not the force multiplier anymore
Right.
because they're playing a 1 versus 1 game suddenly.
They
Like
become one dimensional.
Exactly, like you're turning a machine that could alone, with like by just holding the mouse button down, could kill like 10 people that are bunched up. You're turning it into a machine that can take out one of your guys and has to take him out because otherwise it's going to get taken out itself.
That's a
So
good point.
yeah, so the same thing, for example, is it's really different with, for example, Maxis, where the Maxis you have, like when they're on the ground, they're kind of, like they're this big object that just kind of absorbs fire, and like a Max, even if it doesn't shoot back, it can kind of stand there, it can go get shot at by like 3 or 4 people
Oh
and
man,
basically go,
we've seen
you know,
Sunday crews doing that, where like they'll have two repair Sundays next to like
yeah,
their Uber
exactly,
Sunday, and then they just go in like Voltron style and dominate.
yeah,
Like we've
and
seen
so
some amazing plays like that. But I do want to bring up one more thing about the topic of air. Is also it depends on what you're fighting over. For instance, like Geological Survey Camp. If any of you guys have checked that out, it's where all those
yes,
crystals.
with the
That is
crystal
that
formation,
is
yeah.
like a perfect place to bring air because
Right.
infantry can't do crap whenever you have air all constantly bombarding that A point.
Yeah, that's true. Like they can't get close in there, and like some people beforehand were saying, like, oh, there's the crystals are over the capture point. That's going to make it hard for air.
No
But
No,
way.
no, not even.
in reality, all they have to do is like strafe left a little bit, and there you go.
Well, that was
Well,
Um,
the
they do
question,
need to
right?
get closer depending on where you are, but I
that's
mean,
true.
depending on like what you're using to counter the air, it could either go in their favor or not.
Yeah. But the thing is basically what I think is that what every outfit has to do in Community Clash specifically right now is you can be like super special with infantry, you can be super special in the air or super special with vehicles. You need to have a presence in all three.
All
You
three,
will
yeah.
not win the match you will not win the match by just going like 2 out of 3 or 1 out of like with
No.
1 out of 3 you're already like you might as well just give up, but you're not winning with 2 out of 3, but you need to have some kind of presence, and I feel that a lot of outfits have realized that. Like we were talking about Inni earlier, and I mean I have Farah as the co-caster from Inni on the EU side,
Yes.
and he's one of the squad or even platoon leaders, but at least the squad leader, and for example he told me like Inni hates the air game. Like they really like if you ask them if they wanted to fly, like every single one of them would say no. But they just acknowledged, like from the very moment they've seen a Community Clash game, they said we need to have air up at all times. It doesn't matter like who's doing it, whatever. There needs to be air up, and like lo and behold, they play against Red October, who are pretty much like the air outfit in some regards, and Any won because they just kept the air busy of RO and actually sometimes managed to take them out and take air superiority themselves.
Yeah, I remember that
So
match. I think we casted that together, I think.
yeah, we did actually, and it was great because that was the first match where an outfit that didn't specifically have anything to do with air pretty much just showed us that
Right,
you don't need to be proficient in it. You
right.
don't need to be like amazingly skilled in it. You just need to have a presence,
Yeah.
and you need to make it known.
Yeah.
Right, and
And
it's
I
like one of those subtle things too, where they had like 4 attempts on Frostfall, but the one time it did come together, like you said, the one time they were actually able to get all 3 parts working together, that's when
yeah,
they captured the base.
yeah, exactly.
And
And
that's
I
what we've
think it,
seen from every outfit is the
Yeah,
ones that do the combined arms properly
yeah.
make it
And
and
we're going to see
dominate the
more of that
bases.
in season 2
Oh
because
yeah.
like those outfits they're watching, they're watching the streams, they're watching the videos, and it's just they're seeing it. I mean we as the casters, like we keep repeating it. We're basically going like you should have some air, wink wink. But in regards to PAL, I think that the same kind of applies to PAL because, I mean, even though it's pure infantry competition, and so you might argue it's not combined arms, I believe that PAL is actually a combined arms in a different way because you have the different infantry classes. I mean, if PAL wasn't combined arms, you'd have like 12 heavies versus 12 heavies, and that's kind of it.
Right.
Um,
Even Pal, like Benji's was saying, it's developed. It's kind of like subtle flavors. Like
yeah,
he was
like
talking,
like like as Vengeance said, like you have example, you have Ender and he takes out like 6 people. So in Pell with infantry and different supports and using the special grenades and like the weapons you choose and so on, like that can be a force multiplier in itself. Like you can have a really good player who's like strong as a heavy assault, and we know that the heavy with the shields and so on is incredibly strong, and so you have those players kind of acting as I just call them like soft point multipliers or force multipliers basically, and just build your team around that. Like you can't leave medics out, you can't leave engineers out or infiltrators out and so on. You just kind of run with it
Hmm.
and you make your own setup for the infantry play
right.
specifically.
It's kind of like having a Kobe Bryant era team. You kind of let him
Yeah.
do his thing in a way. You know what I mean?
Yep. And that's actually something which I told a lot of people when they say like in competitive gaming in general in PlanetSide 2, they go like, well, this is a combined arms game. Like you can't do this stuff. And I just say, like, everything you're seeing right now is combined arms. Like it's everything. Like
Yeah.
you cannot take out parts of the game and say we're not doing this because you will lose
Yeah, you're
against
gonna
someone
lose.
who's utilizing
Yeah.
everything.
You just basically signed your death warrant right there.
Yeah. So pretty much I would say that as an outfit in whether it's Community Clash or PAL or whatever, you need to know every role and you need to fill every role. Otherwise, the only role you're gonna have is, losers.
The spawn screen.
Aw, come
Yeah.
on. Why are you gonna be so harsh, Klyka?
Because I'm German and it's like 4 a.m. in the
This is
morning.
true.
Like
This is true.
it's like do not expect any sympathy from me at this point.
Maybe that's why we get along so well, both
I
Germans.
I think so.
Does anyone else have anything to add on this question before I move on to the next one?
No, the only thing I wanted to say is really briefly is I talked about it in the war report that I did with Inevitable, but I called
Hmm.
it the Trinity. But I like what we were talking about. Like it's like trying to imagine a car whose engine doesn't run on full cylinders. What's going to happen? It's not going to go anywhere. But when all the cylinders are turning, doing their thing, when you have all three aspects going, it's going to work. You're going to move forward. And the whole idea is to constantly move forward, never move back unless it's part of the plan. But like I said, these are a lot of subtle things that Alfred's going to come and learn. But the best way they can learn is watching the cast. Getting involved. Like I said, getting involved, watching the YouTube videos. All this stuff is on YouTube. Even like Twitch, rebroadcast stuff like that. So there is a lot of. I mean, now there's a lot of information out there.
A lot of
Whereas,
content.
right. Whereas before, all these outfits coming into these matches were basically all scrimmages. The old war reports and the live servers, which are kind of like their own little mess.
Yeah.
But now you have a lot of resources to pull from. So there really is no excuse to not be able to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's no more
no, and you make
excuses.
some great points. Is like even when we were talking about it before, Klyka and I were saying that we didn't have a lot to pull off of as casters, so we weren't able to go like, you remember last season when blah 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 was versus blah blah blah. They did the same strategy here, and now we're seeing it
Yeah.
again. This is intense. Like we don't have that rapport to come
Right.
back to, and now as casters we're able to do that because we can go back and go, in round one of season one community clash or in regional finals this happened, or what we've seen as a consistency in tech plants is this strategy. We have a little bit more leeway because we have so much of content, and as well as outfits themselves are doing little skirmishes, and they're also putting out YouTube videos for us to go back and look at, and we're looking at all these different members of all these outfits and going, ooh, look at this guy that flies for Das Anfall, and we can go later on be like, I wonder if that's X guy from Das Anfall playing
Right.
right now, and he's
Well,
the one that's
there's
doing
your
this because
story.
he's known for it, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
We're building these stories up and that's what I think is the coolest part about this, is that we're continually progressing in that regard. But we're going to move on to our next thing here, which is how does an outfit/team on the fence regarding competition begin to be involved / take part and compete at a satisfactory level? And I think this is the major thing for a lot of people. I had Validus Gamers on, and one of their guys, the leader, he actually was here with me, and he did a Friday Night Ops. I believe that was episode 61. You guys should check it out. It's insane what he was doing. I was telling him, like, why don't you guys get involved with Community Clash? And he kind of explained what was going on his side, and hopefully we'll get to see them in a future season. but it's always that, well, we don't know if we really want to do it, or, these people aren't really prepared for that, or we don't really think that we have a place for it, or we just don't really want to get into that scene because X or Y. And it's like, oh man, you're missing out on so much cool stuff that, even if you just did it for fun, which is what we're all doing it for,
Right.
well, it should be, because we're not making money off of this. All of us are doing these things as volunteer work. Um, that's the thing. So I want to hear, first of all, what you guys think. I want to start this off with Ender, just because you are probably the most experienced as far as outfit leading and getting involved and being on that level, and you can probably attest to what it takes to be there.
Sure. I think the biggest thing is just do it. I mean, me and Shot got a hold of each other when we did that first Future Crew scrim, and I guarantee we learned the most from that scrim. I mean, that made the most changes initially, and then find other outfits. Most outfit leaders are at least familiar with who the other outfit leaders are on their server or whatever, or know who to get in contact with, the people who may scrim you or whatever, or do it internally. I mean, if you've got enough people within your outfit, load up test server and get a 12 versus 12 going. Those actually end up being really fun, and I have a lot of guys that only they don't even play in the competitions, they don't play live anymore, but they come for the practices, because sometimes when we just have an internal DA, like 12 DA versus 12 DA, that is really fun for them. I guess that would kind of go back to the PAL thing, but find people you can scrim. Just do it. Go out there and just start getting experience doing it. And after, I think Clash opens up its season 2 registrations tomorrow after the match, I want to say.
Yes, actually it is.
I mean, there you go. There's one big way to get into it. And once you're into it, even if you just register tomorrow and you have no idea what you're doing, but you registered your outfit, you will be put in touch with, people, as you keep, if you talk to Torx or whoever you're talking to, you're going to start meeting people once you actually make the first initial step, get your foot in the door. Once you make that step, you'll start making contacts, networking or whatever, and you'll find those people that can help you out and help you have fun and help you kind of advance your outfit along and however you want to do it. I mean, literally the first step is just do it. Get your foot in the door, ask somebody, sign up somewhere.
Ask any of these guys. They will give you tips.
Yeah.
They'll tell you where to go. Check out all of the things that we've been linking throughout the evening. And if you're watching this as a recap, definitely go check out all the stuff that we've been talking about. I mean, this is a really cool aspect of our community, and I hope that it continues to grow.
Right now, the competitive PS2 scene is pretty much like one big family, and if you want to get in on this, no one's going to turn you away.
We will give you hugs.
Yeah, we'll give you hugs, and
AKA, we'll shoot you with our guns, but it's okay
Yes.
because we love you. But yeah, I want to hear some other people's perspectives here. Vengeance, why don't you talk about what you think in regards to outfits that are on the fence?
I think one problem that I really don't know how to get back to these outfits when they tell me this. It's that I had problems when I at first when I wasn't getting too many people to register on Paul because they didn't know what Paul was. I was like, hey, you want to be part of this? We're doing this event, this and that, and they were like, oh, we don't want to. We wish we could participate, but we're practicing for it, or and they don't want to put their reputation on the line. They don't want to be that outfit. I understand the point where you say, yeah, just go for it. But some of those outfits, they care about their reputation of their outfit name. So if you tell them just go for it, they don't want to be the outfit that gets beat 3 times in a row, and then they start improving. And I know that you have to participate on the actual thing to be a better outfit, but I think a lot of it has to do with, like Ender said, do in-house scrims and do all this stuff that builds your competitive outfits, makes your outfit competitive. Because when you stop playing on the live server and you do, for example, like an in-house scrim, even if you haven't fought anyone else and you're doing an in-house scrim on the test server, you're already aiming to be competitive. That's it. That's the definition of it. So
and you only get better by practice. So the more you do that, if your worry, if your anxiety is all about how do I get better or we're not good enough, you'll never know unless you put yourself up against another outfit. And there's outfits of different tiers, right? So if you feel like you're in a different tier than some of these top outfits per se, and I say top outfits with quotations because we really don't know. We don't have enough data to be able to say who is the top. We can only say hey, this is the top outfit in Community Clash for this season, NA, EU, right? We don't have a big pocket of players to look at unless we look at like live server data, but then that can be, there's all kinds of weird stuff that can be variable within that. So it's just get out there, get yourself out there, do some scrims, practice, and you'll get better. The more you do it, the better you'll get. I mean, Dasanfal, I mean, Ender, you can even attest to this, is when you first initially started, you were like, whoa, there was some stuff that we need to get better at. There's some
That's probably an
communication that
understatement.
we're missing. There's some strategy we're not using. There's some classes and there's some vehicles that we're not utilizing properly within this situation. And there's all kinds of things that you can learn, but you're never going to learn them unless you do them. And the more you do them, the more it becomes just routine. And rather than it's, oh, we need to consistently talk about what's happening, you just kind of do things on the fly because you know what's happening.
Yeah,
I
it
think
definitely comes from experience.
Yeah, I think no outfit becomes they don't become good all of a sudden. I think they always have something to improve on. Even for DA, which I would consider like one of the best outfits, they always have something to improve on. Same with any other outfit. There's always that little thing that you're missing. You haven't been aware of that yet, and you will find out next on a match that that it will get you by surprise. It happens. It's just how competitive works.
The base can influence that too. One of the examples of DA kind of getting our butts handed to us was the first time we did a scrim against Innie too. I thought it was a great idea, but you start with your one gal.
I thought it was a great idea. I love when stories start out with that.
We were what we were gonna do is pull 5 stealth gals, because they're off the mini map and they draw a lot of attention. I was gonna have my air come in over the top of the back of them while the gals are drawing fire and have gunners in them, and then I was gonna send 2 sunners in underneath them. Well, when we started the match, the warp gate we had, and we were attacking Howling Pass. The warp gate that was our warp gate was actually the southwest Indar warp gate. So by the time I got 5 gals to Howling Pass, there was like a minute left, and Innie is sitting there with like 14 sky guards. Yeah, that didn't go out very.
Jeez.
Oh man,
Did not go
that's
very
the
well
best.
that round.
But that's a great example of strategy, right? You guys thought that this was what you were going to do. They already saw what you were doing. They pulled in a ton of sky guards, which is a great counter against air, depending on if you have some support for them. But I mean, at that point, how many did they have?
At least I couldn't even see the ground really because there were so many lightnings and.
Yeah, so I mean, at that point, then it's just your numbers outnumber.
There was just no way to that specific bait. There was no way for us to get in there after that, and that was on me. But the lesson we learned from that was, even at a base where it takes 3 minutes to kind of make the base neutral, since it starts neutral, but you have to move the timer. Like speed is still a huge issue. Like you have to have presence there and at least establish some sort of momentum, because if the other side gets all the momentum going and all of a sudden you're stonewalled there, you're already at a disadvantage for the rest of the match or the next round.
Yeah. Man, I know that all of us are so passionate about this and we could talk about it forever. So maybe we'll have another panel in the future about things. Maybe we can be even a little bit more specific about it when we move on into the future about competitive gaming. But at least I hope that we have made it a little bit more known within the community, and maybe some of you that didn't know we had this aspect of our community, just to know about what's going on and maybe show up to some of our scrimmages and watch some of these matches that we have going. We have 24v24, we have 192 versus 192. There's going to be a 400v400 in server smash. We have a 12v12 with PAL. So I mean, there's whatever flavor you want, we got it, because with PlanetSide 2 the numbers can scale and we can kind of make all kinds of different things. And in the future,
it's like a buffet of death.
Yes, exactly. And in the future, I hope you guys make your own tournaments, because I know SOE, we are always looking to kind of help and promote those kind of things. So yes, I want to give you guys all a moment to say who you are, where you're from, what things you do, because all of you, each one of you, do some amazing things for the community. And I want people to be able to follow you along and maybe talk to you about maybe something that you brought up in the topic here, and continue to progress all things competitive gaming in PlanetSide 2 in a really constructive manner. So, KidRiot, since you started this panel, why don't you start us off with who you are and where people can find you at?
Okay, I'm KidRiot, just a longtime player, community member. I'm getting a little too old to compete, so I basically do community stuff, which is all right by me. You can find me on Twitter, KidRiotGun. I'm pretty active on there, and so you can find me. I'm pretty active on Reddit, so I'm pretty easy to get a hold of.
People are already yelling Argentina in chat.
Yeah, see? They know what's up, man.
They know.
There's some smart people in chat. So that's pretty much me. I really enjoy this game, and I really hope to see it grow. Like I'm all about every aspect of it, but if I had to choose one aspect that really gets me going more than anything else, it'd be the competitive aspect for sure.
Oh, and I know that.
Yeah,
Kid is crazy about his competitive stuff.
for
Ender,
sure.
what about you?
Sure. I'm Ender. I'm VS outfit leader of Das Anfall on Matheson. My Twitter is just Ender31X. My YouTube is Ender01234 because I never thought I was going to use it for anything other than browsing things. Das Anfall's site is just dasanfall.com, and then we obviously have the stat site at stats.dasanfall.com. You can get a hold of me anywhere you want. If anybody's got questions, if you're looking to get into the scene, go ahead and send me a message, and I'll help you out. I'll put you into contact with who you need to get a hold of to get started.
Fantastic. And Vengeance?
I'm Vengeance D. I'm pretty much make sure that the Paul tournament runs smooth. I'm actually the one that runs the Twitter on it, which is twitter.com Paul Tournaments. And yeah, if you want to get in on it, on the events that we have, you can just go to proarenaleague.com. All the information that you need is there. Actually, to give you a heads up, Future Crew and Armis, which is a European outfit that no one knows about, it's going to be fighting tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific. And CIK from Connery and TRG from Connery too. They're going to be fighting tomorrow. All those matches tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. Pacific.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I am definitely up for that. Oh, that's going to be good. And last but not least.
Huh. Klyka. My name is Klyka, and I'm pretty much the guy who talks a lot. So if you like to listen to me talk, you can check it out. I sometimes stream different things, also PlanetSide 2 on twitch.tv Klyka. I upload some videos on YouTube under Klyka1 because some crazy Swede already took my name.
Oh, no.
And of course, if you want to follow me on Twitter and read what I type from time to time, then you can go to Twitter and find me under Klyka. And mostly right now, when it comes to PlanetSide 2, I'm sadly not playing as much anymore as I used to, but because of time constraints. But I am casting the Community Clash on the European side. So tomorrow, actually, when the World Finals come, little shill here, together with
finals.
Luperza, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's going to be great. So please tune in there. And yeah.
Yeah,
That's it
definitely
from
go
Germany.
check out PS2Com Clash. We'll be having a match tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be right here on this channel, so just click the little follow button, and you guys will be able to watch it. And Klyka and I will be casting. Hopefully,
Oh yeah.
you guys will enjoy it. All right, once again, thank you guys so much for joining me. And this show's not over for those of you who are watching right now. We have lots of awesome things that are still to come. But I do want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your day. I know this was a lot of time. And KidRiot, thank you so much for putting this panel together, and all of the people who work together. There's a huge community of players who actually work together to formulate all of these panels. So even though one person makes the panel, they kind of help out and interject what their opinions are. And I think KidRiot got to see a lot of that, get to be part of it, and it's a lot of fun. So thank you guys, and we are moving on. So
All right,
see you
thank
guys
you.
later.
Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
us.
See you guys later.
All right, and there's more, but wait, there's more. So much stuff for you guys. All right, hopefully you enjoyed the footage. All of that footage that I was playing during the cast 2 is kind of footage that I took on my own. One of them was a Vindicators Ops night, and the other one was this giant air event that was going on, and I thought it was really cool, so I went and took video and edited it, and hopefully it was good for you all. I don't know. All right, we're going to be playing some wonderful videos, so hopefully you enjoyed that, and it'll be coming up right now.
Hope can drown, lost in thunderous sound, and fear can claim what little faith remains. But earthen sky, crush my heart into embers, and I will reignite the I will reignite. Death will take those who fight alone, but united we can break a fate once set in stone. Just hold the line until the end, 'cause we will give them hell. I will never surrender, will free the earth and sky, crush my heart into embers, and I will reignite. I will reignite. I will reignite.
So that was a beautiful, beautiful video by Tasty Movies. I just posted it in chat. If you're watching this as a recap, go ahead and check out Reignite by Tasty Movies. It is beautiful. He makes a lot of videos, so if you go over to his YouTube, you'll like everything. You will be thumbsing up for days. Wonderful, wonderful movies from him. And we are moving on to our next thing. So, since we were talking about competitive gameplay, I kind of wanted to play some videos that reiterated that and kind of give some people either tips on competitive gameplay or ways that they can improve their gameplay in PlanetSide 2. Earlier, I accidentally played the wrong video. That video was the one that I was supposed to play at that time. Earlier, I played a video of this guy who basically was running a lib, solo libbing around, and he was able just to take out people left and right. And it was a really fantastic play from him. You don't really see that a lot. I mean, you do with high tier players, but it's very rare when you can see a high tier player doing that. We also see, you know, people who jump out and rocket enemies or C4 enemies and they jump back in their vehicles. Like, that stuff is awesome to me, and I kind of wanted to highlight some of those things. So I'm going to play another video here that is about rail attachments and his thoughts, and this is Kamikaze78. We've played some of his videos in the past, and remember, these are videos that you guys can submit to us, so definitely go check out Player, and you can go to sv.com/player-direct and submit any of your videos to that. That is a fantastic way for us to promote your videos. We do it on our official social channels through SOE or specific games, and we also do it here. We want you guys to do that. We want you to monetize off of our videos, so keep making them. So, yeah. All right, going to be playing the next video, and hopefully you all enjoy it, and we can chat and chat while we're watching it.
G'day there, once again viewers, this is Kamikaze78 here, coming to you guys with some more PlanetSide 2 content. So guys, for today's video we are going to be taking a look at the rail attachments available to players on weaponry in PlanetSide 2. More specifically, the laser sight and the advanced laser sight, the forward grip and the advanced forward grip, the flashlight and the extended magazines, looking at how the traits of the attachments and how they can affect the behavior of the weapon for the good and for the worse, and and also go through some balancing thoughts that I have about these attachments, as in my humble opinion, a couple of the rail attachments are a little too universal and don't feel like a side grade or a trade-in traits, just a straight upgrade. Keep in mind that for today's video we will be pushing aside the underbarrel launchers and the BRRT, as they are pretty much something completely different on their own, and they do have really unique weapons that they fit on, so that's going to be something possibly for another video, or just, you know, just something to push to the side for now. So, to keep things rolling, let's start off on the topic of the laser sight. Now, like all items in the rail slot, it comes with a fairly pricey 100 certs cost, and can be purchased again on certain weapons only to upgrade it to an advanced laser sight, which will cost an extra 100 certs to the total cost. Now, the laser sight comes with the advantage of tightening your hip fire cone of fire to be more accurate, and therefore allows the